Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei and Rias Died Fighting Trihexa and Went Back in Time Part 10. Before we start, please go support Nico FS 2000 for writing that awesome fanfic. Now let's begin. This is the translated version I made. There will be some wrong he or she calling here because it's translated, so let me clear this. Issei is a male in this story. S2 Chapter 49. Infinity vs Domination Part I. Dragon God vs Celestial Dragon. But Issei and Office had moved an acceptable distance away from the others and were staring at each other with a serious and emotionless gaze respectively. "Well, Sekiryuite, will you show me your power?" the black-haired girl asked without emotion. Upon hearing her, an almost imperceptible smile appeared on the wearer of the boosted gear. "I'll do it, Office," the brunette responded, getting into a fighting pose. Issei shouted, disappearing from his place and appearing in front of Office, while the black-haired woman floated calmly in the air, not even fazed by the brunette. Issei launched a blow with his fist straight towards the dragon's face, however Office turned her head to the side, dodging the attack with great ease. Seeing this, the current Sekiryuite attacked with a kick, but Office blocked it with her right arm. Issei put on the most serious face he could and disappeared again, appearing behind the dragon ready to attack again, but Issei's moan of pain was heard. Office had sent a blow without even looking back, hitting the brunette in the entire face, sending him flying crashing into the ground, raising a small trail of smoke. Office turned around, and he looked calmly towards the smoke, waiting for his opponent to get up. A few moments passed, and the smoke faded away, showing Issei lying on the ground face up. Issei sat up as best he could, the pain invaded his entire body. Cough. The brunette coughed blood and then stood up and looked at the dragon goddess seriously. "That blow knocked me out for a few moments," Issei thought seriously, looking at Office carefully. While the aforementioned looked at Issei stoically, but if you paid attention you could notice a sparkle of interest in her eyes. "Seriously, I didn't realize," said Ddraig. Issei frowned at his partner's obvious sarcasm. "Ddraig, stop sarcasm," the brunette responded to his tenant's words. "And tell me who in their right mind would think of fighting a dragon god?" asked the dragon with a recriminating tone. "When we agreed to do this you sounded proud." "It's ironic," Issei replied, smiling. "Of course I am. You are the first wielder in history who can afford that luxury. You even surpassed my power in my prime," said the dragon, causing Issei's smile to widen. "Bali would be so jealous of me right now," said the brunette. "I didn't see him very enthusiastic a few moments ago," said Ddraig. "Damn Ddraig, you know what I mean," Issei responded with irritation, making his partner laugh. Disconnecting from their conversation for the moment, he returned his attention to Office again. "That blow hurt me a lot, I must admit," he said to the dragon. "Have you finished talking to Ddraig?" the black-haired girl asked in a monotonous tone. "Yes, now I will be a little more serious," the brunette responded, while a red aura surrounded him, and his power increased as his aura intensified, causing the pressure in the environment to change and the ground around him to break. This did not affect Office in the least, however it caught her interest. Then Issei attacks the dragon goddess, encouraged in her usual monotonous tone. Issei smiled and prepared for his next move. The brunette rushed forward at great speed, appearing in front of Office, giving a right blow towards the stomach, but the black-haired woman caught him. She blocked with her hand, which generated a large wave of wind behind her. Issei, dissatisfied, continued attacking in a frenzy of attacks, but his opponent continued to evade and block each attack. The brunette struck a blow to the face that the black-haired woman dodged, then hit a blow to the chest, however the dragon blocked it with her arm. Crouching down, she kicked the black-haired girl's legs, but she jumped. From the ground the brunette saw how Office was preparing a downward kick, so he quickly turned to the side and said kick hit the ground. Issei stood up and took a few meters away. Office looked at him and at great speed attacked Issei, giving a blow to the brunette's face, which the current Sekiryuite blocked with his hand, but due to the clean shot and the force of the blow Issei was dragged several meters back with the black-haired girl's fist still gripped in his hand. Issei said when his entire arm began to tremble when Office withdrew his fist. This distraction was taken advantage of by Office by hitting Issei on his cheek. The brunette shouted when he was sent flying a few meters away from his opponent. Issei stood up quickly, grabbing his sore cheek, moving his neck from one side to the other, making it creak. He looked at Office with a serious look. The dragon returned the emotionless look so characteristic of her. They both looked at each other for a few moments and then they both launched into each other, attacking, throwing a punch, which collided with the other's fist, but Office's blow was stronger and sent Issei backwards. Issei clicked his tongue when he saw how he was thrown back. Issei shouted strongly, surrounding himself with his aura again and launching himself forward to continue the fight. Issei attacked Office, giving her a blow to the face, which hit her. The black-haired man dodged, but this time the dragon was not left undone. She attacked Issei with a blow, but the brunette narrowly dodged said attack, then they both launched a kick to hit the other, however both attacks were cancelled, separating them from their opponent by a few. Meters, the two protagonists of the battle looked at each other. Issei smiled, so Office imitated him with an imperceptible smile appearing on her face, an expression that Issei noticed, since he knew the goddess in front of him perfectly. Having spent so much time with she also went next to him, where Office began to show her emotions. They both launched an attack again, starting an exchange of blows. As the moments passed, the strength and speed of the blows intensified. Office found an opening in the brunette's defense, giving a strong blow to the stomach. Issei spat out a large amount of blood, arching looking for his heir to return. The black-haired woman did not waste time and kicked the brunette in the face, lifting him into the air. Office quickly appeared on top of her opponent, giving him a downward hammer blow, sending him crashing to the ground. Issei was left lying where he fell face up watching as the black-haired woman descended quickly with a heel kick, ready to hit Issei. No wait, time out. The brunette turned to the side desperately to dodge Office's blow, barely managing to do so. The black-haired woman's kick hit the ground, generating a huge crater, deforming the terrain around him, making Issei break out in a cold sweat when he saw the disaster. If I hadn't dodged that attack in time I would be dead now, thought Issei. His body trembled, recompassing himself. He stood up and distanced himself from the dragon again, staring at Office intently. The grey aura began to surround him before disappearing. It was his senjutsu. Suddenly the wind began to swirl around him. The dragon of infinity looked at him, curiosity reflected in her empty black eyes. The wind began to gather in the brunette's hands, forming spheres of said element. For a moment to another Issei threw the wind spheres towards Office, and then took a breath. Akaryu no Hoko, Issei shouted, launching his roar of fire, which joined with a wind attack becoming larger. The firestorm rushed towards Office, who she was calm. The black-haired woman was immersed in the fire attack, all while Issei did not stop shooting flames from his mouth. From one moment to the next Office came out of the flames, positioning herself in front of the brunette, surprising him, without Issei being able to react. He received a kick in the head from Office, sending him flying a few meters, who stayed there floating calmly watching Issei get up, who wiped the blood from his mouth. The aura of the current Sekiryuite exploded again, surrounding himself again with this, taking his power to the limit. But if you were a little observant, you could notice how his aura had slight yellow tints, these being proof of the use of the Tauki. Being ready, Issei attacked his opponent again, throwing a strong punch towards the black-haired woman, which he blocked, but she was dragged a few centimeters back. Not giving any importance to this, she counterattacked with a blow towards Issei, but he blocked it, not causing her as much damage as the blows received previously. This being thanks to the Tauki that strengthened her body enormously. Upon realizing this, Office he smiled softly and attacked Issei with more ferocity. He responded in the same way, starting another exchange of blows. Suddenly Issei sent a thrust with the fingers of his hand. Left this strange Office, but she quickly had to dodge when the boosted gear appeared. The attack managed to remove a few hairs from the dragon, but still failed to land an accurate hit. Boost. Ddraig's voice was heard increasing the power of its wearer, and he began to attack the dragon of infinity with more strength and speed, beginning to make things difficult for her. Boost. Issei increased his power even more, cornering the goddess of infinity, and he was going to continue like this if she did not increase her power further. Putting his left hand in front of Office, the brunette prepared his attack. Dragon shoot, Issei shouted as a torrent of red energy came out of his gauntlet, swallowing Office, who only had time to put her arms in a cross to defend herself before being dragged by the attack, generating a large explosion upon impact, filling the place of smoke. When the smoke dissipated you could see Office standing, while she cleaned the dirt from her clothes and body, and then looked at Issei in a monotonous manner. Said look made Issei have a chill. Even Ddraig trembled inside the boosted gear by that look. The black-haired girl disappeared from her place, putting Issei on alert, not knowing where his opponent was going to attack. Suddenly the brunette crouched down out of pure instinct, and was just in time when Office appeared behind him, kicking with enough force to decapitate him. Turning around to look at his opponent, Issei jumped back taking distance, but the black-haired woman did not let him, attacking him again. It was clear that she was upset by Issei's previous attack. Office attacked with ferocity, speed and strength. Chestnut, since he could barely keep up with him and defend himself, things had been reversed, and now it was Issei who was being cornered by the dragon of infinity. Boost. Issei quickly gave a few boosts to catch up with his opponent and counterattacked. The battle became very close, punches and kicks came and went from both sides, ending in a stalemate. Issei kicked the dragon's abdomen, but she blocked it with her hands, grabbing her leg with her hands. Office began to spin Issei. Issei screamed when he was thrown into the air. However, a long snake made of her power emerged from the arms of the dragon of infinity and went towards Issei, coiling around his leg. Office grabbed the tail of said snake and pulled it down, crashing Issei against the hard ground, causing another crater in the place. When the smoke cleared, Issei could be seen getting up, who saw how Office was surrounded by a black aura with purple touches. From said aura 2 large snakes were generated, which attacked Issei. The brunette didn't even flinch, and in a flash of black and white light, Escalation and Aperos appeared in his hands. Issei increased his power quickly transfer and then transferred that power to both swords, which shone in black and white respectively, and then looked with determination to the two incoming snakes and attack with both swords, cutting the snakes in half, generating a large explosion in the area, from which Issei covered himself by placing both swords in a cross. When the smoke dissipated and both opponents could see, Office looked at both swords with curiosity, but it was one that really interested her. "Those swords?" Office said with interest. "Yes, they are Dragon Slayer swords," Issei responded, confirming the dragon's suspicions. "And now you will have to defend yourself from them," the brunette said again, ready to attack again. "I see, it's interesting," the black-haired girl responded, preparing for Issei's imminent attack. The Sekiryuite rushed forward with a sword in each hand, appearing in front of Office, launching a descending and ascending cut with the two swords. The black-haired girl, seeing the attack, he jumped back to dodge it and formed two spears with his power to defend himself from Issei's attacks, as well as counterattack. The brunette saw this, but did not give importance to it and ran forward, being imitated by the dragon. Spears and swords clashed, fighting a fight for dominance. "Tell me something, how did you get that sword?" asked a dragon, seeing Issei's black sword, who realized this. "Do you mean a Peros?" asked Issei, smiling while trying to cut Office's neck with Escalation, but she dodged by crouching and sent an upward slash with her spear, being blocked by Issei. "I made it with the help of Ddraig. It is made from the power of my last armor, the most powerful one I possess," the brunette responded as he dodged a thrust from Office's spear. "The Pero," said the black-haired girl thoughtfully as she attacked Issei with his spears, overwhelming him for a few moments. Issei increased again to be even with Office and counterattacked by launching cuts and thrusts with the two swords, but the Dragon of Infinity blocked and dodged masterfully. "I guess you won't tell me how you got that armor, right?" the black-haired girl asked, knowing the answer. "No, we agreed that I would tell you after our fight," Issei replied calmly. "Then I will have to finish this fight so you can answer my questions," Office said in a monotone voice, intensifying her attacks, which the blow blocked and dodged with difficulty. While this was happening, Issei left an opening that the Dragon of Infinity took advantage of by kicking her in the abdomen, sending Sekiryuite a few meters back, but Office did not stay still and threw one of the spears towards Issei. Upon seeing the attack, his swords shone in a sacred and dragonic aura respectively and cut the spear in half, making it disappear. Office, she did not stay still when she saw this and rushed forward at a beastly speed, appearing above Issei, sending a downward slash with her remaining spear. The brunette reacted just in time by putting both swords in a cross, intercepting his opponent's spear. However, it was sunk into the ground by the force of the impact, causing a small crater. Reacting, Issei launched a kick towards Office, which he blocked with his spear, being sent a few meters back. "Enough of the games. Fight seriously," Sekiryuite, Office said, seriously looking at Issei with empty eyes. "I guess you're right," Issei responded with a smile, both swords disappearing. Seeing this, the black-haired woman made his spear disappear and a soft smile appeared on her face. But the rest, everyone was watching the fight between a dragon god and a celestial dragon with shock on their faces. "Why doesn't Issei-kun fight with his maximum power?" Michael asked with seriousness in his voice, capturing everyone's attention, making a certain redeed sigh. Issei got into the bad habit of testing the level of his opponents before fighting with everything, Rias replied. That answer surprised some of those present. "Adidota, there is no time for that stupidity. He is fighting a dragon god," Rainer said with annoyance, causing the majority to nod their heads. "Unfortunately, that's what Isama is like," said Lefei, receiving a nod from all the girls. "But against me, if it was with everything from the beginning," said Tiamat, "it would be making everyone look at her." He did it, but that was because he didn't have much time, and he also wanted to see how his body reacted to all that power. The Redeed responded with sincerity in her voice. Upon hearing the answer, the light-haired girl nodded in understanding. "How powerful is Isama Rias Oju-sama?" Grafia asked with a serious voice. "Not even I know that currently, Grafia," the Redeed responded seriously, "but it can be said that his potential is infinite," Rias said with a soft smile. "Well, he will have to show that potential because they are giving him a beating," Volley said, amused. Everyone who heard him returned their attention to the battle, watching how it was developing. "You shouldn't underestimate Issei, Volley," Rias said seriously. "What do you mean?" the albino asked with curiosity. "You saw him fight against Kakabiel, didn't you?" the Redeed asked, receiving a nod from the current hacker Yuiku. "Well, Issei is fighting this way since he wants to test the limits of his body. When he reaches the limit he will activate the balance breaker," Rias explained, being heard by everyone. "Explain Rias Gremory," said Azazel. Currently Issei has several abilities, some of which are his dragon aura, Senjutsu, Taki and the power of destruction. The Redeed responded to the governor of the fallen angels. "Although if you ask me, I don't think he uses the power of destruction. See you later in the fight," Gremory said again. "What do you mean, Rias?" asked her brother. Let's say that the power of destruction is the ace up Issei on Isama's sleeve, the Redeed responded after hearing the Grimoire's words. Everyone looked at the fight that was already taking place without any interruption. S2 Chapter 50. Infinity vs Domination Part 2, Balance Breaker. With Issei and Office, both opponents were staring at each other when Issei spoke. Well, I think it's time to unlock all my power, Issei said smiling, capturing Office's interest. Unlock your power? The black-haired girl asked with curiosity. Yes, you see, besides my armor, this is not my maximum power, the brunette responded to his opponent. Oh, I'm listening, said the dragon with an imperceptible smile. The part of my power is sealed at this moment, Ddraig himself did it, she explained in the boosted gear portalder. And why do I seal your power? Office asked curiously. Because I am powerful enough to need it, that is why I save it for when I face a transcendental opponent like you. Also that power is very difficult to control, and I would have to try much harder than I currently do to be able to do it and take advantage of it to its maximum potential. But I think there is no point in not doing it, Issei explained with a challenging smile towards the dragon. Interesting, very interesting, then show me that power of yours, Office said with a monotone voice. Haha, you can cover whatever you want with that seriousness and monotony, but in reality you are excited, Office Issei thought, a soft smile appearing on his face. Very good, Office, get ready, Ddraig the brunette said with enthusiasm. Yes, partner, the dragon responded in a way that could be heard throughout the place. A few moments passed when Issei began to be surrounded by a crimson light. Issei's scream was heard as his power began to rise rapidly to higher levels. Issei's aura exploded, causing a roar. When the crimson glow disappeared, the place began to shake. The ground around Issei began to shake. The crack and a small crater was being created. Issei's power continued to increase, and debris began to rise around him, and dust began to be generated, causing Office to have to cover her eyes. Issei screamed finally time when a small explosion was generated, and a crimson light was generated throughout the place. When it dissipated, Issei could be seen. He seemed a few centimeters taller, and his muscles seemed more toned and marked. His look seemed more mature and would be, without noticing, a small blush appeared on Office's face. This power. The black-haired woman said to herself. If she had to be honest with herself, she was pleasantly surprised. This boy, without a doubt I have to know everything about him, the dragon thought, a smile appearing on her face. Comrade, your power has finally stabilized, you can currently use your dragon diabolos to its maximum capacity, Ddraig said, her excitement and happiness clear in her voice. That's good to know, Ddraig, it's time to start, the brunette responded calmly, receiving a nod from his partner. Balance Breaker, Issei shouted with all his strength, drawing the black-haired girl's attention. Welsh Dragon Balance Breaker. Draig's voice was heard from the boosted gear when the familiar scale mail armor appeared, further increasing Issei's power. Suddenly the chestnut disappeared from its place. Oh was heard from Office's mouth, raising an eyebrow in curiosity. As she saw her opponent disappear from her place, she grunted in pain, spitting out a mouthful of blood. Looking down, she saw Issei's fist stuck in her stomach. Not giving her time to react, the brunette threw an uppercut at his opponent, lifting her into the air. He quickly grabbed her by one of her legs and slammed her to the ground. Shouted Office, the dragon of infinity, spit out a mouthful of blood again, but Issei he didn't finish there, and he picked it up again, and then crashed it again a couple more times on the ground. Satisfied, he threw it into the air and launched a dragon shoot at point-blank range, dragging it towards some rubble, raising a lot of dust. When the dust dissipated, you could see Office slowly got up while cleaning her clothes, which were a little destroyed. You, the dragon whispered dangerously, looking at Issei with empty eyes, while she began to be surrounded by a blackish aura. This sight shook Issei, yet her face behind the armor remained calm and immutable. Office disappeared from the spot, and Issei put an arm in front of his chest, blocking the blow of the black-haired girl out of pure instinct. Said attack was powerful enough to crack the armor of the current Sekiryuite. However, Office, dissatisfied, attacked again, sending a blow to the brunette's face, the which he could barely dodge. Then he attacked with a quick kick to the ribs. Said blow was able to hit his target, since Issei was not fast enough to defend himself. Grunting in pain, Issei counterattacked his opponent with a series of punches and kicks. However, that was not enough, and the black-haired woman dodged or blocked the attacks with relative ease. Issei launched a blow at the dragon's face, but she dodged it by tilting her head to the side. Then he went with a knee to her stomach, however it was blocked once again by the hands of the dragon goddess of infinity. The brunette quickly crouched down, launching a kick at Office's legs, trying to unbalance her. Seeing this coming, the black-haired woman jumped, dodging her opponent's attack. Issei stood up at a fast speed. Superior. He launched a blow to the dragon's chin, being dodged by it as he took a few steps back. This annoyed the brunette, going to attack his opponent again. He attacked with several blows and kicks towards Office at great speed. However, the dragon infinity was blocking said attacks with his legs, as if it were a game, with his knees to be more specific. Upon noticing this, Issei became extremely frustrated. Is this all, Issei? Office asked in a monotone voice, before counterattacking with a kick to the jaw, causing blood to come out of Issei's armor helmet, lifting him into the air, after which she finished him off with another kick to the cheek that sent him crashing to the ground a few meters from her. When the dust dissipated, Issei could be seen slowly standing up with his armor helmet destroyed, a frown on his face and blood coming out of his mouth. Ddraig repairs the helmet of the armor the chestnut tree asked his tenant. The his-made companion responded the Welsh dragon when the helmet was rebuilt. But Issei said, staring at his opponent. Boost 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 boost. Making some boosts, Issei launched himself into the attack again, appearing in front of Office. He gave a strong blow to the black-haired woman, which she blocked with her hand. Even so, the goddess Infinity Dragon was pushed a few meters. Without stopping, Issei continued hitting her, punching and kicking. The brunette quickly hit the dragon's chest, being blocked by her arms, insisting Issei kick towards Office's ribs, but was blocked again by the left arm of the black-haired woman, who, not wanting to defend herself all the time, began her counterattack and sent a blow to the brunette's stomach, being blocked by it. Not being satisfied, she hit an uppercut to Issei's jaw, but the current Sekirute hit him. He dodged by taking a few steps back and then hit the dragon's face with his fist, who dodged it by tilting his head to the side. The brunette launched an upward kick, but it was dodged when the black-haired woman stepped aside, looking at Issei and turning back. To the attack, he defended himself, so both opponents began an exchange of blows. Very good, Issei, I know you can do even more, the black-haired woman encouraged, hitting Issei in the chest, causing both of them to distance themselves a few meters from each other. Issei just smiled and prepared to attack again. Boost 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 boost. Upon noticing Issei's increase in aura and power, the dragon goddess of infinity smiled, and her aura, the black-haired girl, appeared again. They both looked at each other again for a few moments. After analyzing each other, the two dragons launched the attack. Both punched each other on the cheek. Moving away, Issei gave a blow that was intercepted by the black-haired girl himself, generating a shock wave. Without giving it importance, Office hit again. Said attack was intercepted by Issei's own punch. After that, it was a kick that was intercepted by the other, and thus began an exchange of blows between both opponents at a beastly speed. And for some of the spectators, the only thing that could be seen were the shock waves that were generated by the collision of his fists and kicks. Finding an opening, Issei fired a blow at the stomach of the dragon goddess. The black-haired woman's muffled scream was heard when the blow connected, which caused her to spit out a little saliva. Reacting quickly, the dragon goddess of infinity crouched down and sent a low kick to Issei's legs when the blow connected. The current wearer of the boosted gear was suspended in the air for a few moments, a moment that was taken advantage of by Office to give him a strong blow to the chest, cracking the chestnut's armor. Issei's cry of pain was heard when the air in his lungs was lost, and he spat out a mouthful of blood due to the strong blow of his opponent, which slammed him into the ground, generating a crater. Reacting quickly, Issei attacked his opponent, which reached both of them to the ground. Starting a fight there, the two began to struggle and spin on the ground, looking for one to be the winner. Office quickly won the small fight and, remaining on top of him, began to fiercely hit Issei in the head with his fists. Compassing himself, the brunette grabbed his opponent's head and gave him a strong headbutt that left the dragon confused, causing her to stop and take a few steps back. This was taken advantage of by Issei, standing up, and he kicked her to the stomach of the black-haired goddess. Was Office's gasp as she was dragged a few meters back. Not wanting to miss her chance, Issei surrounded herself with the power of destruction. Boost 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 boost. Giving several boosts quickly, the power of the destruction around him became more intense, and he pointed his left arm towards Office. Dragon shoot of destruction, Issei shouted as a dragon shoot combined with the power of the Bale's destruction was fired towards the dragon, who was barely able to put her arms in a cross before being submerged in the attack, being sent flying, crashing with some rubble. When the dust cleared, you could see Office standing staring at the brunette, not wanting to let him make another move. Issei prepared for another attack. Dragon shoot of destruction. Issei repeated his most recent attack again, and the massive dragonic power and power of destruction shot towards the dragon goddess of infinity. However, Office this time was prepared, covering herself with her aura. It began to form a sphere of her power. After having it ready, she launched her attack. When the attacks collided, Office's power quickly consumed Issei's, who saw in surprise how the dragon's sphere of power became larger. Shit, that attack has too much power to cut it with Escalation or Aperos, the brunette thought with concern, seeing how the attack was approaching him. I'll have to dodge it or resist it. Cutting his train of thought, he made a decision when the attack of the dragon goddess of infinity consumed him, generating a large explosion, raising a large cloud of smoke. A few moments passed, and when the cloud of smoke dissipated, Issei could not be seen anywhere. Oh, where is he? The dragon goddess wondered, looking around her, she quickly noticed movement above her, and that was when she saw Issei descending towards her with a kick, using her arm to defend herself. She grabbed his brown leg and slammed him against the ground. Ah was the cry of pain that the wearer of the boosted gear gave when his back crashed into the floor of the place, generating a small crater. After doing that, Office looked at his opponent with empty eyes and took a few steps back. A take distance, moments later Issei recovered from the blow. Standing up he looked at the dragon goddess of infinity seriously. Disappearing from his place the current Sekiryu appeared in front of his opponent and hit the dragon's face with a blow, who dodged it and attacked with his own punch, which the brunette barely managed to dodge. Upon seeing this, both dragons began another intense exchange of blows that lasted for a few. As their fight intensified, Issei became frustrated since he could not land any blows accurate while his opponent did boost 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 boost. Giving several boosts Issei attacked with more enthusiasm and began to give the infinity dragon problems boost 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 boost. Giving a wild scream Issei hit Office's face when he found an opening and then hit her in the stomach, making the black-haired woman hunch over. Giving another fierce scream, Issei unleashed his thrusters and he dragged Office into the air with his fist still buried in her stomach, causing more damage to the black-haired woman. When he reached a certain height, Issei withdrew his fist from the dragon goddess's stomach and, appearing on top of her, gave her a powerful kick in the back of the head, sending her crashing to the ground generating a large crater. The chestnut tree quickly followed her, remaining a few meters from the happy hole. When the dust cleared, the dragon goddess could be seen standing up with several scratches on her body, looking at Issei with empty black eyes. Her aura appeared again, increasing her power a little. At high speed she appeared in front of Issei. This made the aforementioned open his eyes in surprise. As best he could he blocked a kick from the dragon with his arm. Said attack cracked the armor. Office dissatisfied continued. But the flurry of attacks, which Issei was able to barely block and dodge, but quickly the black-haired woman was overwhelming him. Finding an opening Office hit him in the face, then it was a blow to the stomach, followed by a blow to the back. The jaw that lifted him into the air, appearing above him, finished him off with a strong blow to the chest that sent him to the ground. Office quickly got into the cloud of dust generated by the impact and grabbed Issei by his legs and held him. Raised him, crashing him into the ground again. This was repeated a couple of times and then left him suspended in the air. His armor had been completely destroyed, at which point Office charged a sphere of her power and threw it at Issei at point-blank range, sending him to fly, consuming it in a large explosion, which generated a large trail of smoke. But the rest. While Office and Issei were fighting, everyone was watching the fight with utmost attention when the crimson glow caught their attention. "Why is Isama shining?" LeFay asked confused, capturing everyone's attention. Issei decided to unlock his power. Rias responded seriously. "What do you mean, Rias-chan?" Serafal asked curiously. "Just watch," the Redeed responded, to which for the next few moments they dedicated themselves to seeing Issei's power in all its splendor. "Imagine that he had all that power accumulated," said Michael seriously, seeing how the power of his current Sekiryu continued to increase. "His power continues to increase rapidly," Surzicha said seriously. "Haha, without a doubt he is the most powerful Sekiryu that has ever existed," said Azazel with a smile. "What do you think, Albion?" Vali asked his companion seriously. "He is powerful, surely the most powerful I have ever seen," answered the white dragon seriously. "Do you think we could face him with that power?" asked the albino again. "I honestly don't know, and if what he said before is true, even less," answered Albion seriously, which earned a grimace of displeasure from Vali. Little by little the shine that surrounded Issei was fading and he was allowed to show himself. To the chestnut. All the girls shouted when they saw the changes in Issei, totally blushing. "Shut up, you crazy bunch," Vali said irritably. "Did you say something, white dragon?" All the girls asked in unison in a gloomy tone while radiating murderous intent towards Vali, and at that moment the most powerful hacker Yuku in history felt true terror. "Ahahaha," Azazel laughed, putting a hand on Vali's shoulder. "Don't laugh, Crow," they all said again, leaving Grigori's governor completely silent and sweating profusely. "I feel sorry for you, Haidu," Vali thought, now calmer, while a certain blonde dragon was just crying out of the envy he had of his partner Sekiryu. "Oh, the balance breaker is going to be equipped," Rina said, so that everyone could pay attention. Several moments passed and everyone was shocked. "He just delivered accurate blows to the dragon goddess of infinity," said Rainer. "Don't be confused, it just caught her off guard. No matter how much power she has, she won't be able to beat Office," Vali said seriously. "Sadly I agree with him," Tiamat responded seriously. "Tell me, Rias Gremory, why would Haidu Issei seal all that power?" the white-haired man asked with great interest. "The one who blocked that power was Ddraig," the Redeed responded, drawing everyone's attention. "But why would Rias do that?" Akeno asked confused. According to him, it was because Issei was already too powerful, and he did not see the need for so much power, plus it would be difficult for him to control it at that time, and Ddraig decided to leave it as a trump card for moments like this. The retreat explained seriously, making those who they will listen they will understand. I would have done the same, said Tiamat. Agree to something with Ddraig, the world will end, Albion said sarcastically. When the divine dividing appeared on Vali's back, the light blue-haired girl only glared at the sacred gear, without answering what the dragon said. What do you mean, Tiamat-sama? Ravel asked curiously. Apart from Rias, I am another one who knows the true extent of Issei's power, and I have to say that before unlocking that power he was very powerful, the dragon responded calmly. Everyone nodded in understanding and returned their attention to the battle, not wanting each other. Lose none of this. S2 Chapter 51. Infinity vs. Domination Part 3, Crimson Cardinal Promotion. But Issei and Office. The dust of the crater in which Issei was dissipating, showing him lying on the ground with several wounds on his body. This was observed by Office, who was without any emotion on his face. A few moments passed in which the brunette began to get up. And then I look at the black-haired girl. Haha, that attack was effective, it hurt a lot and did some damage to me. I'm sure that if I didn't have this body, I would be very injured or even dead, Issei said laughing, happy with the fight he was having. And now what are you going to do? I'll defeat you in your balance breaker, the black-haired girl asked, crossing her arms and beginning to float in the air again, while she looked at Issei carefully. I think it's time to go to the next level, said the brunette smiling. Oh, I'll wait for you then, the dragon responded with interest. Upon hearing her, Issei's smile widened. I, the one who is about to awaken, said Issei, starting the chant for his Crimson Cardinal. I am the Sekir'Yu'te who rejected domination. I celebrated hope and unbreakable dreams. I walk the path of righteousness. I will become a Crimson Emperor Dragon, and I will lead you along the path of heaven with a deep crimson light. When he finished the chant, the crimson armor surrounded him. The new armor interested Office even more. Oh, that's not the Juggernaut drive, said the black-haired woman, analyzing Issei's new armor, drawing her attention to its wings, since they are very similar to the wings of the divine dividing. Tell me, Issei, what state is that? Asked the Dragon of Infinity with curiosity. This is my Crimson Cardinal promotion, or true queen. It is the state I achieved by breaking the curse of the Sekir'Yu'te. Also the queen piece of the evil pieces plays an important role in this armor, Issei answered calmly to Office's question. That you broke the curse of the Sekir'Yu'te, you say? Asked the dragon goddess of Infinity, her empty eyes flashing with interest and curiosity. That's right, I did it, the brunette responded with a smile behind his helmet. So is it correct to think that that armor is stronger than the Juggernaut drive? The black-haired girl asked again. That's right, Issei responded, nodding in agreement. By the way, I'm curious, those wings are similar, if not identical to Albion's. Why? Asked the dragon goddess with interest and curiosity. That is because after the fight with Vali, I assimilated one of the jewels of his armor, and part of his power became mine. When I entered the boosted gear to break the curse, one of the previous bearers of Albion appeared, and he helped me do it, and the armor took this shape, Issei explained calmly to the dragon goddess. I see, you can say that your body helped assimilate that power, said the black-haired woman. Upon hearing what was said, Issei nodded. Yes, if it weren't for my current body, this action would have severely damaged my vitality, taking years off my life in the process, Issei responded, half lying about the situation. It was not convenient to remember that fact. It's like she thought then, that body also helped you endure the Juggernaut, the Dragon of Infinity said again with an imperceptible smile. Yes, that, and I also replaced it with my magical reserve, the brunette responded to what he heard. Interesting, I like it a lot. Little by little some doubts and questions that I have about you are being clarified, Issei said, the black-haired woman with a smile and a faint light in her deeply black eyes that showed an infinite emptiness, but that it is only the beginning of everything that you truly are, Issei. I still have many doubts and questions that I want you to answer me, said Office looking at him with great curiosity. Well, that's what this fight is for, and remember that if I manage to meet your expectations, you will come with me, the brunette responded, smiling behind his helmet. Well, with that state you are already the most powerful Sekir'Yu'te that has ever existed. It can be said that you have already fulfilled a little of those expectations, but let's not rush. I have the feeling that you still have much more to give, said the dragon goddess of Infinity with serious voice, but Issei noticed the excitement bubbling in her tone, that made him very happy. Ahaha, you're right, do you think we continue with our fight, Issei said, laughing happily. I think it's fine, Office responded as her aura surrounded her again, and she put herself in a fighting pose, so Issei imitated her. Come Issei, attack with everything you have, the Dragon of Infinity challenged, an imperceptible smile appearing on her face. On her face, upon hearing what her opponent said, Issei took her at her word and rushed towards her at blinding speed, appearing behind Office in an instant. He's fast, the black-haired woman thought as she turned her head and saw the brunette behind her. of her preparing a punch straight at his face. But it's not that hard, the dragon goddess of infinity thought confidently. Maneuvering quickly, Office intercepted the incoming blow with her hand. Issei clicked his tongue in annoyance when he saw his attack fail, so he quickly withdrew his hand and launched a kick at the ribs of his opponent, who put his arm to defend himself. However, the force of the impact dragged her a few meters, which surprised the black-haired woman a little, but she knew how to hide it well under her impassive mask, and it would be. Issei did not stay still and attacked the dragon once again. When she noticed it, she prepared to intercept him. Appearing on Office, Issei threw axe kick, which the black-haired woman dodged, causing her to hit the ground, causing a small crater. The brunette lunged forward again and attacked the dragon with a punch to the face, but Office dodged by putting her head to the side, and then he counterattacked with his own punch, which was blocked by the current Sekiryute's arm. Oh, your speed, attack, resistance and defense are on a completely different level than a few moments ago. It is admirable. I congratulate you, Issei said Office, while she defended herself from a blow that she was going to give to her stomach. Thank you, Office, but this is just beginning, Issei responded, narrowly avoiding an uppercut from the dragon. That's something I expected, said the dragon goddess of infinity, launching another blow towards Issei, who managed to block it. However, as the exchange of blows became more intense, it was evident that Office was gaining more and more ground on him. Current wearer of the boosted gear, come on, show me your power and that armor, Office said, provoking the brunette, who smiled behind his helmet. Heh, whatever you want, Issei responded happily. He was very excited about the fight he was currently carrying out against Office. Boost 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 boost. Giving several boosts, he launched an attack with renewed momentum, enthusiasm and determination. Taking Office off guard, he appeared in front of her and hit her. A strong blow to the stomach, which made her hunch over and spit saliva before hitting her with an uppercut and finishing her off with an axe kick that sent her crashing to the ground, raising a lot of dust. When it dissipated, Issei could see Office standing, wiping the dust off her clothes and then looking at him with empty eyes. Hahaha, Issei laughed, missing the black-haired girl, causing her eyebrow to arch. What makes you so happy? Asked the dragon goddess with a monotone voice. I'm very happy, the brunette responded with a tone that demonstrated what he was saying. Are you happy? Office asked without understanding what Issei was saying. Yes, I am, the brunette stated, nodding his head. I'm happy to be having this fight with you and to be able to prove myself, a fight that may never happen again, Issei explained, making the dragon understand what he meant. With your words, I guess you're right, the black-haired girl responded, nodding in agreement with the current Sekiryute. Then let me return the favor, Office said, disappearing from her place, and at blinding speed she appeared in front of Issei. Ddraig, the brunette, complained of pain when he received an extremely strong blow to the stomach, making him spit out a lot of blood, but the dragon of infinity did not stop there and gave him another blow to the chest, then gave him a strong kick in the head. Cheek that sent him flying. Following him, Office appeared above him and gave him a strong hammer blow that buried Issei in a deep crater. Satisfied, the dragon moved away from the crater and remained floating a few meters from it, waiting for Issei to recover. After his previous attack, a few moments passed and the dust dissolved and Issei could be seen standing up, looking at his opponent carefully. Mode change, said Issei when a red aura began to surround the armor of the current Sekiryute. Star Sonic Booster Ddraig's voice was heard when the crimson armor began to change shape, adapting more to the chestnut's body, decreasing its thickness, and then at a blinding speed appearing in front of Office, surprising her. The speed increased exponentially, thought the black-haired girl, surprised. Mode change, Issei said again when his armor returned to normal and the thickness of his arms and legs increased. Solid impact, Booster Ddraig's voice was heard when Issei launched a blow towards the dragon of infinity. Ddraig, the black-haired woman, spit out blood when she was hit in the stomach by Issei, being sent flying into the air. Mode change, Issei said again when his arms returned to normal and the familiar red aura surrounded him again. Fang blast, Booster Ddraig's voice was heard as the cannons came out of the armor's back, so Issei pointed them towards where Office was and began to prepare his attack. Boost 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 boost. After the many boosts, Issei was ready. Crimson Blaster, the chestnut shouted, firing his attack towards Office, who received it fully. This caused a large explosion in the place, making the current Sekiryute smile. After a few moments the smoke dissipated and the dragon goddess of the dragon could be seen. Infinite, while she was surrounded by her aura, wiping the rest of the blood that came out of her mouth with her fist, she looked at Issei with empty eyes. Without further ado, the black-haired woman dived downwards to attack Issei. Boost 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 boost, giving a few more boosts. The brunette surrounded himself again with his aura and taking out his wings, he flew to face the dragon's attack, meeting each other face to face with a heartbreaking blow. However, the two blows intercepted each other, generating a shockwave that pushed both opponents back. Without giving a damn, the two dragons launched the attack again, beginning an exchange of blows that became more intense and close with each passing second. Tell me, Issei, what was that attack just now? It intrigues me, Office asked with interest and curiosity as he launched a blow towards his opponent. That was my illegal triena move, Issei responded, dodging the black-haired girl's attack. It is a move that I created using the knight, rook and bishop pieces, promoting me with the evil pawn pieces on my body, Issei explained, attacking the dragon with a blow to the face, which she dodged by tilting her head to the left. I see, I understand, the black-haired girl responded after dodging Issei's blow. Both continued their battle for a while longer. They were so submerged that they did not realize that they returned to the ground. A few moments passed until the two dragons separated. Office looked at Issei with an emotionless expression, beginning to surround herself with her aura. A huge sphere of energy formed above her, ready to attack Issei with it. This ends here, Issei Office said monotonously, and with a movement of his hand, he threw the energy sphere towards Issei, who was calm watching Office's attack heading towards him. Suddenly the brunette smiled and his two gauntlets came out. Two wyverns, the one on the left was red and the one on the right was white. Without further ado, the red wyvern rushed towards the attack. Boost. The wyvern made a boost and faced Office's attack. Transfer was heard from the wyvern when its boost was transferred to the dragon goddess's attack, which doubled its size almost instantly. The white wyvern exchanged places with the red wyvern, which returned to stand next to Issei, while the white one faced Office's now increased attack. Reflect was heard from the white wyvern when the black-haired girl's attack was reflected towards her. Upon seeing this, Office opened her eyes in surprise. This prevented her from having enough time to react, receiving the attack squarely, generating a large explosion. While the white wyvern returned to Issei's side, who noticed that several purple and black snakes were coming out of the cloud of smoke. This caught his attention. He watched with fascination as all the snakes were gathering and uniting, so that at the end they formed to Office, who was looking at him seriously. That was great and disgusting at the same time, Issei thought with fascination. What was that? Office asked in a monotone voice. Oh, that was one of my abilities, Issei said, amused. So the black-haired girl raised an eyebrow. These are my wyverns. The brown one said. Again the red one, he said, pointing to the small red wyvern. It has Ddraig's abilities, such like boost and transfer, he explained calmly. And the white one, he said again, this time pointing to the white wyvern, has the abilities of Albion. Like divide and reflect, he explained again. What I did was that with the red one, I increased the power of the attack x2 and reflected to you with the target at the end of the explanation. Issei saw Office nod. Now I understand. It is very useful, said the Dragon of Infinity. But I think now is the time to end this, Issei said, taking out her wings, starting to fly and making his wyverns disappear. Oh, and what will you do? The black-haired girl asked, looking towards where her opponent was. Issei did not respond and concentrated on preparing his attack. Are you sure about this, mate? The recharging period is not over yet and it can leave you very fatigued, Ddraig asked, warned the brunette. I know, but this may be the only chance I have to fight Office. I have to give it my all. I'll rest after the fight, Issei responded with a tone of seriousness in his voice so that the dragon couldn't object. As you wish, Ddraig responded without further ado. After the small talk, boost, Issei gave several boosts when a cannon appeared in his chest and a green energy began to concentrate there. Long Ina Smasher, Issei shouted, firing the aura attack towards Office, who saw the attack approaching with emotionless eyes. Suddenly the black-haired woman was surrounded by her aura, which was concentrated in her left hand. After doing so, she looked at the incoming attack and with one blow, he repelled it without major problems. Deflected it, said Issei and Ddraig in unison in shock, watching in amazement as his attack came towards them. The brunette quickly moved to the side, watching as his attack passed by where he was before until it exploded in the air. Darling. Incredible, Issei said, looking again at where Office was, but she was no longer there. Where is she? The brown man asked himself, confused. Above you, Ddraig shouted, warning her companion, who looked up where the dragon goddess appeared, but it was too late. Office pointed her hands at Issei, from which an aura attack was fired. At point-blank range. Ah, was Issei's shocking scream as he was consumed by the attack, being sent to the ground, generating a large explosion. The black-haired woman quickly followed him down a few meters to wait for Issei to recover. I hope I haven't overdone it, Office said in a monotone voice, looking toward the cloud of smoke. But the rest, everyone present was watching the battle with great attention, and most of them were surprised by Issei's new armor and what to say about Vali and Albion when they saw a resemblance of her wings on that armor. What is armor? Azazel asked, interested, taking the others out of shock. That is Issei's cardinal network promotion, Rias replied calmly. It's the first time I've seen something like this, Michael said, returning to his serious expression. The Crimson Cardinal promotion generates a Crimson Dragon armor that incorporates the three traits of the evil pieces, making it a more balanced and powerful form than Issei's previous armors. The Crimson Cardinal promotion is his answer to a different power to the Juggernaut Drive. After successfully overcoming the curse of the Juggernaut Drive, the Reteat explained, surprising those present. Are you saying that Haidu broke the curse? Vali asked seriously to the Gremory, who nodded. And why do those wings look like those of the Divine Dividing? He asked again, this time with a somber tone. That's because after their fight, Issei assimilated some of the jewels from your armor into his body, and the crimson armor took that shape, Rias explained to the white-haired boy, who accepted that explanation and nodded. But by assimilating that jewel, didn't you lose years of life? Penemu asked with concern, what happened to the rest of the girls when they hurt her, but Rias shook her head. No, her dragon body allowed her not to take that risk, Rias responded, half lying, making the girls sigh. What are you hiding, Rias? Serziches asked himself seriously. In his mind, Ice-kun already had that armor in the raiding game against Razor, and that was before he was going to fight Volley. You will have to answer a lot of questions when this is over, he continued with his train of thought. Redeed, without knowing that those who were there and saw that fight were wondering the same thing. Rias Naya Kuroka called the Redeed, who paid attention to her. Someone is trying to break the barrier, said the Nekomata, receiving a nod of support from Lefei and those who were in charge of the barrier. Upon hearing it, Rias gave a he sighed, knowing who it was and caught Volley's interest, assuming the same thing. Let it go, the Redeed said calmly. Are you sure, Rias-sama? Asked Lefei, trying to reconfirm what the Redeed said, who only nodded. Having confirmation, those who were in charge of the barrier made a crack in it so that whoever it was could enter. A few moments passed and they saw a man descend. Yaokai monkey on a cloud, carrying a staff in hand, who fell next to Volley. Who would think of making such a powerful barrier? Asked the annoying monkey. Iku, what are you doing here? Asked Volley seriously. We came to look for you, we have a fight in the north, remember? The monkey responded ironically, making Volley sigh. I guess I won't be able to finish watching the fight, said the white-haired man, a little resigned. Fight? Biku asked, paying attention to the confrontation, opening his eyes in a state of shock when he saw who was fighting. He was going to give his opinion but was cut off by Rias. Don't you dare give your opinion where they don't call you a damn monkey. The Redeed interrupted Biku when he was about to speak, so the Yaokai looked at her with annoyance. You don't tell me what to do, Grimmery, Biku responded with annoyance. Enough, Biku, let's go, Volley said to the Yaokai, who just nodded. Then the white-haired boy put on his armor. I'll have to ask for details of the fight, later said the albino, starting to fly. See you soon, menstruation, Biku said mockingly to Rias before following his leader, while everyone stared at the Redeed, whose eyebrow was trembling in irritation. Damn monkey, Rias shouted furiously when her power of destruction exploded around her, and she threw him with a sphere of power of destruction. However, the Yaokai dodged said attack and looked at the Redeed laughing before both he and Volley disappeared from sight, taking a drop out of those present who wanted to ask but decided not to when they saw how angry the Redeed was. A few moments passed in which Rias calmed down and returned her attention to the fight that was developing, for what the others did the same. S2 Chapter 52. Infinity vs Domination Part IV. Shin Diabolo's dragon, but Issei and office. The dust from the crater where Issei was clearing, showing the brunette lying on the ground with his crimson armor, parts of the armor scattered around him, while Issei was surrounded by part of his helmet, chest and thighs, the rest was exposed. The current Sekiruite began to get up slowly, recovering little by little, this under the watchful eye of office. So you still have the strength to stand up, the black-haired woman said in a monotone voice. I thought I had missed it with my previous attack, the dragon continued talking, so that an imperceptible smile appeared on her face. Although it would be nice if that had been the case, it would be a disappointment. Office finished speaking, looking at him with her black eyes. That blow hurt me a lot, Issei responded looking at Office, but I can't lose this fight without giving my all, without fighting at my maximum power, the brunette said again with conviction, while restoring his armor, covering it again with complete. Then show me your maximum power, Issei said the dragon, encouraging her opponent. Get ready, Office, because now I will go with everything, the brunette responded with determination as his crimson aura surrounded him, but now that aura began to mix with a black aura that began to emanate from his body that caught the attention of Office, knowing this aura very well. That aura will finally be serious, and several of my questions and suspicions will be confirmed, the Dragon of Infinity thought to herself, looking at Issei carefully. The one who dwells in me is the crimson dragon that will rise in supremacy. Issei began the chant for his infinite dragon god. The one who possesses me is the crimson celestial dragon, who will become king, shining black of the infinite god, shining god of dreams and illusions. Observe the real existence that will transcend the limits. Dance before the absolute and radiant hell. Finishing the song for his dragon Diabolos, the organic armor began to cover him. Error sounds began to be heard from the armor jewels when he finished covering Issei. Full drive dragon, Issei shouted, showing his maximum power to Office, who to say that they were impressed was an understatement. That power, that aura, that aspect, said the black-haired woman, compassing her emotionless gaze. How did you get it? Office asked monotonously. This is my dragon Diabolos, my infinite dragon god state, and as you realized I used the power of infinity in this form. Your power, Issei said smiling behind the armor, and since I obtained it, I told you that I would answer your questions after our fight. The brown-haired man responded to the black-haired girl's question. It's okay, Issei Office responded, descending to the ground. Your new power is surprising. Not only do you have the aura of a dragon and a demon living in you, but also that of a god, said the dragon, getting into a fighting position while her aura eye surrounded her again. What are you waiting for, Issei? Attack me with everything you have. Cheer up again, the dragon goddess of infinity. Well, here I go, Issei said, disappearing from her place, and at divine speed he appeared in front of Office, who was already waiting for him. Predictable, said the dragon, blocking her opponent's punch, but penetrate. Ddraig's voice was heard from the jewels of the armor, penetrating the defense of the dragon goddess of infinity, sending her flying. Office shouted in surprise as she was caught off guard by the technique. Issei quickly followed Office, placing himself behind the dragon. He gave her an upward kick that sent her to the sky, following her once again. At a divine speed he appeared above her, and he gave it a downward blow that sent it to the ground, covering it with its crimson aura with black touches. The large black snake with crimson touches formed on it. I introduced you to my new technique, said the brunette when the large snake finished. To form. Error sounds began to be heard from the jewels on Issei's armor when her technique increased in power. Ouroboros Leviathan, said Issei, sending the great snake to attack an Office who was still in the air, falling to the ground. Seeing the imminent attack approaching, the only thing the dragon could do is put her arms in a cross to defend herself. Penetrate. Still defining himself, Issei used penetrate again in her attack, which pierced Office's defense again, hitting her. The great aura snake opened its mouth and attacked the dragon with its jaws. Office shouted as she was consumed by the large snake, which upon touching the ground exploded in a large explosion of aura, which deformed the entire panorama, and Office disappeared from the view of the chestnut tree, generating a large trail of smoke. Seeing this, Issei descended a little and waited for it to dissipate and his opponent to recover. A few moments passed for the smoke to dissipate, and Office could be seen standing up with her clothes in tatters and looked at Issei seriously. To think that you unlocked the ability to penetrate that form, the dragon said seriously. Yes, Ddraig was able to unlock it when I acquired this evolution for the first time, once I fought against an opponent who had the ability to cancel the sacred gears, Issei responded calmly. And to think that you can use some of my techniques, she said again, narrowing her eyes. Oh, you mean the technique just now? Well, I was able to develop that technique when your power became completely accustomed to my body. That made it easier for me to create the technique, the chestnut man explained to the dragon of infinity, who nodded in understanding. I see, I must assume that you relied on my technique to do it. Office asked with curiosity. The brunette only nodded. Well, I think we should continue, said the dragon, surrounding herself again with her aura, intensifying it, causing the crater around her to grow larger, and with a jump the current Sekir'Yuutei appeared in front of him, giving him a strong blow to the chestnut's chest. Making Issei retreat, without giving time, the black-haired woman launched a kick at her opponent's head. However, Issei was able to block with his left arm. Even so, he was dragged a few meters. While Issei was still in the air, he took distance, but Office did not let him and returned to the attack, giving him a blow to the face, which the brunette was able to dodge. Then he attacked with another kick to the stomach that Issei could barely block with his knees. However, little by little Office was cornering him. Issei, who was now on the defensive, not wanting to be left behind, he matched the speed and strength of his opponent and began the counterattack. He threw a blow at the black-haired girl, which he dodged, then it was a kick to the head. However, Office also dodged it by descending his flight a little. Seeing this, Issei gave a downward kick, however Office blocked it with her hand. Grabbing Issei's leg with both hands, she began to spin him around and then send him plummeting to the ground, causing a huge explosion. Crater and dust was generated around it. However, the dragon goddess of infinity did not have to wait long when Issei at divine speed emerged from the crater and appeared behind her, ready to give her a strong kick in the back of the head, but Office saw him coming and turned away. She crouched quickly and turning, she blocked with her hand a punch that was going to hit her face directly, deflecting the attack to the side. Office counterattacked with a punch, but Issei did not let up in dodging it. He attacked her with another blow towards her opponent's ribs, which the dragon goddess of infinity dodged by stepping aside, but the brunette did not stay still and attacked with an upward kick that Office also dodged and then sent another punch that the black-haired woman blocked with her arm. Issei's savage attack towards the dragon. The infinity continued for a few moments, yet Office dodged or blocked them, leaving no opening for Issei to take advantage of. I see, Office said thoughtfully as she dodged, blocked and counterattacked. Issei, you can use penetrate, but you still don't know how to use it correctly like Ddraig used to do, said the dragon, analyzing the Sekir'Yuutei technique while continuing the exchange of blows. What do you mean? Issei asked without understanding what the dragon goddess said, while he continued attacking her fiercely. Ddraig had the ability to camouflage his blows by penetrating with normal blows that confused his opponents by disorienting them, but you can't do that yet, so you are predictable, the dragon explained seriously. She's right, mate, you still don't know how to use penetrate to her maximum capacity, said Ddraig, supporting Office's comment. Issei clicked his tongue in annoyance, so using penetrating his blows, he began a frenzy of attacks towards Office. Punches and kicks were going towards the dragon goddess of infinity, however he saw it coming and began to dodge with great mastery and agility every attack that Issei sent him. Do you see what I mean? Office asked as she continued dodging her opponent's attacks. I can easily predict which attacks you use to penetrate and which ones you don't, the black-haired woman said monotonously, frustrating the brunette very much. Tired of dodging, the dragon began with the counterattack, giving her a strong blow in the chestnut stomach, causing him to hunch over due to the pain. Now don't get frustrated, that will cloud your mind and not allow you to fight at your maximum capacity, the dragon instructed, giving him an upward kick that lifted him into the air. I know that you have more power and abilities than this, use it with a cool head, the dragon goddess instructed again, grabbing the current Sekiryu by the helmet and crashing him hard on the ground. Such was the force that Issei bounced a couple of times upon impact with the hard ground, before being left lying on the ground face up, stunned by the attack received. A few moments passed for Issei to finally react and begin to get up from the hard ground. Looking at Office, he cracked his neck. I guess you're right, I shouldn't get frustrated, much less in a fight against someone like you, said the brunette, taking a breath to calm himself. I should fight with everything. This Diabolo's dragon consumes much more of my stamina than the fake version. Otherwise I fight with everything. I will not be satisfied with this fight, thought Issei, the determination and desire to fight resurfacing within him. Come on, Ddraig, said the brunette eagerly. Very good, partner, it's time to go on the offensive, the dragon responded in the same way as its host. Quickly the error sound began to sound through the jewels of the armor, increasing the power from Issei. This made a smile appear on Office's face. Issei suddenly flew towards where the black-haired girl was, appearing in front of her. He gave her a strong blow that was received by the dragon's own one, generating a considerable shock wave. Dissatisfied, the brunette continued his attack, throwing punches and kicks at great speed towards his opponent. However, the dragon goddess of infinity responded with the same intensity with her own punches and kicks, finding an opening for the current Sekiryu. He launched a kick at his opponent's ribs, causing Office to spit blood and pass his hand over where she was hit, trying to calm the pain. Those moments of distraction were taken advantage of by Issei, giving the dragon a strong blow to the stomach. Office complained of pain as she hunched over, clutching her stomach and spitting out a mouthful of blood, so that the brunette then finished her off with a powerful kick to the cheek. The blood caused by the strong blow splashed on the armor, staining it, as well as a part of the ground around him. This while the dragon of infinity was sent crashing into some rubble. The brunette looked towards where Office was, waiting patiently for him to stand up. It didn't take long for the dragon goddess of infinity to find him. Who looked coldly with his empty black eyes. At a divine speed, Office attacked Issei, who could only put his arms in a cross to defend himself from the blow that went directly to the chest. However, Office continued to apply force to the blow, dragging Issei back, so they both crossed several rubble of place while they exerted pressure between them. The black-haired girl in her fist and Issei trying to get away from his opponent's attack. Finally, after dragging the chestnut-haired man a few meters, the dragon goddess of infinity withdrew her fist from his arm Sekiryu, while the forearms of his armor were smoking from the friction between the attack and defense of both. Not letting him react, the black-haired goddess launched an uppercut to Issei's chin and placing her hands on Issei's abdomen. They began to shine in a black aura when a power of aura was released from them, consuming the chestnut in the Issei shouted when he was shot toward some rubble that generated an explosion. Office looked at his work with an emotionless face. However, from the cloud of smoke, instead of coming out Issei, an attack of black and crimson red aura was shot towards him. She, covering her hand with her aura like she did with one of her opponent's previous aura attacks, deflected it to the side, causing the attack to hit another place on the battlefield and a large explosion to be generated. However, that it was a distraction that the brunette took advantage of, appearing behind Office and kicked towards the dragon, but she blocked but was caught off guard when her blow pierced her defense and she was sent flying. Said blow was incorporated with penetrating. Quickly the brunette followed his opponent, positioning himself on top of the dragon, and gave a downward kick towards her. However, the black-haired woman vanished, so his blow did not end up hitting anything. This took him by surprise. I'm here, Ice, said a voice above him. Looking over him, he saw Office, who was sending him a strong downward kick. Unable to react, Issei received the blow squarely, sending him to the ground, crashing into it. However, the brunette recovered fast and appeared in front of the black-haired woman, when in a black flash, a paros appeared in his right hand and sent a horizontal cut to his opponent, which Office narrowly dodged and took distance. Oh, will you use that sword? Asked the dragon goddess with interest. What can I say, this sword has a special affinity with my infinite dragon god, the brunette responded with a smile behind his helmet. Very good, Office responded, generating a sword with his aura, after which both dragons looked at each other attentively for a few moments, and then disappeared and at a divine speed, began an attack against the other one. Issei launched a horizontal cut towards Office, who she blocked it with her own weapon made of her power. Both struggled for a few seconds before separating. The Dragon of Infinity being faster, she launched a vertical slash, but Issei had enough reaction to block said attack, then she sent a thrust towards her opponent. Even so, Office saw it coming and dodged it by stepping aside. Waiting for this, the brunette sent a kick towards the dragon's side, but he blocked it with his free arm, getting rid of his opponent's blow. Office launched a thrust at the dragon's head. Issei, who crouched down and sent a cut to the black-haired girl's stomach, Office managed to dodge it by jumping back, however the brunette's attack managed to cut her clothes, and a line of blood was generated, signaling a shallow cut. As noticing it, the black-haired woman looked at Issei with eyes devoid of emotion, and at a beastly speed attacked Issei, who managed to defend himself with his sword. However, the Dragon of Infinity was able to corner the brunette with a frenzy of cuts and thrusts, managing to disarm him, stripping him of his apparos, which flew to Issei's side and stuck into the ground away from him, and then disappeared in a flash of black energy. Seeing her opportunity, the black-haired woman launched a downward slash with the intention of cutting her opponent in half. Reacting quickly, Issei surrounded his armor in the part where his hands should be with his aura and intercepted the cut with brute force, so they both remained struggling for a few moments until the brunette, seeing that Office was winning, kicked him in the face. The stomach making her retreat and saving herself from being cut. When the black-haired woman separated, she looked at the brunette intently, her weapon made of aura disappearing, and she attacked him again. Appearing in front of him, she gave him a blow in the stomach, which Issei intercepted with his hands to stop her. Then sent a blow of his own to the dragon's head, but she dodged it, and thus they began another exchange of blows that intensified with each punch and kick that they gave. They were like this for a few minutes, until Issei found an opening in the defense of the Goddess of Infinity, and delivered an accurate blow to her chest that made her retreat, then gave her an uppercut to finish her off with a powerful kick charged with her aura that sent her flying several meters away. It's time to end this, Issei thought, preparing his 4 cannons for his next attack. Error sounds began to be heard from the armor jewels when Issei's attack began to charge. Infinity Blaster, Issei shouted when his most powerful attack was launched towards Office, who had already recovered in the air and was watching as Issei's attack approached. Without wasting time, he surrounded himself with his aura, and a huge black sphere made of his power began to form above her. It took a few moments for her technique to be finished, and then she launched it. Both attacks collided, so they spent a long time fighting for one to dominate. However, the 2 attacks ended in a stalemate, so that ended up exploding, generating a huge explosion, causing a gigantic crater in the place, and sending both opponents flying around the place. When the explosion stopped, a huge cloud of smoke could be seen, with no traces of Issei or Office. But the rest, everyone was watching what was happening with their eyes wide open and their jaws on the floor in total shock. Rias, I call the redeemed Tiamat. Yes, the Grimoire responded, letting her know that she was listening to her. Issei managed to reach that point, right? Asked the dragon, in response to said question. Rias nodded. Yes, the redeemed responded affirmatively. Without a doubt he is someone incredible, said Tiamat with admiration. That power, that aura, without a doubt, is the complete form of the dragon Diabolos, said the dragon admiring Issei's new power. Rias, what is that supposed to be? Rainer asked, coming out of shock, being the spokesperson for everyone present. That, my dear sisters and leaders of the 3 factions, is Issei's maximum power, Rias responded haughtily and with a smile on her face. What is that power supposed to be, Rias? Serzichas asked in his deadly serious tone. Upon hearing it, the redeemed smiled at him. A few moments passed, and her sister did not respond. Rias answers, said the redeemed Mayu, starting to get exasperated. It is known by several names, Rias responded calmly. And what are those names, Rias-sama? Ravel asked with interest in his voice, wanting to solve this enigma. Well, it is known as dragonification, since, compared to the previous ones, its armor is organic, said Rias, surprising those who were listening, except for Tiamat, who already knows the armor itself is known as Dragon Diabolos, or DXD. Rias continued with her explanation, to which everyone was paying special attention, and finally it is known as her state of infinite dragon god, because that is how she uses her power. The redeemed finished explaining. That last part surprised everyone even more, so everyone remained silent for a few moments. That aura that emanates, Michael said out loud. You noticed it too, Michael, Azazel said seriously. What's happening, Ani-sama? Gabriel asked his brother, a little worried about how he was behaving. Something vague is happening. Penemu asked, noticing the atmosphere a little tense. So you realized, said Tiamat, looking at both leaders, who nodded seriously. What are they talking about, Tiamat? Akeno asked, confused. Issei's aura in that state is not only that of a dragon and a demon, but also that of a god. The dragon answered the Himejima's question. This answer surprised all the girls. That power gives me chills, Naya, but it is also very warm, Naya Kuroka said as she felt Issei's power deeply. Kaneko, who also did so, nodded in agreement with her sister. It's powerful, isn't it? Rias asked, smiling. It is normal after all, only a select group of beings is capable of facing him and defeating him, the Retid said again. That caught the attention of some. Who are those beings, Rias? But you? He asked his mistress like this. Of all of us here, only Nai-sama would be able to face him, Rias responded looking at her brother, who had a serious face. Upon hearing what was said, everyone looked at him. Then the ones that come to mind at this moment are God Hades, the god Shiva, the god Indra and the two dragon gods. Those are some, but not all, said the Retid to those present. Ice-kun is very powerful, Irina said excitedly with most of the girls. Rias-sama, you said that Ice-sama can use the power of the infinite dragon god, said Lefei, drawing everyone's attention. In fact, he is fighting against him, but how can he use it? Asked the blonde magician so everyone would pay attention to what the Retid was going to answer. It is due to his body, but we will answer that after the fight, Rias responded calmly. You have many questions to answer, Rias, Surzicha said seriously to his little sister. Of course, Ani-sama, after all I don't think we can keep this hidden any longer, Rias responded looking at her brother with a smile. Now let's concentrate on watching the fight. I assure you that this is nothing compared to what you will see as this battle reaches its climax, said Rias, returning attention to the confrontation that was occurring. So the others present followed her example and paid close attention to the fight. S2 Chapter 53. Infinity vs Domination Part V. The two Securyutes, but Issei and Office, and the battle zone. The smoke from the explosion resulting between the clash of attacks by the two dragons was clearing when the view of the battlefield returned. A destruction of transcendental proportions could be seen. Office could be seen slowly rising with some wounds on his body, while on the other side of the now destroyed battlefield Issei could be seen buried in a pile of rubble. The brunette began to move, giving signs of reaction and removing the rubble that buried him from above. After doing that, he started to get up. Looking at Office, who was several meters away, he smiled and started walking towards her. That attack was effective, Office said monotonously, watching Issei approach. Yes, it was, Issei responded, nodding in agreement, stopping his walk now, being a shorter distance from Office now. Are you ready for the combined attack of Ddraig and me? Issei asked, smiling at the black-haired girl, who raised an eyebrow at what she heard. Combined attack? Office asked with interest camouflaged in her monotone and serious voice. Yes, the time has come for Ddraig to participate in the battle, the brunette responded, causing the Dragon of Infinity to raise her other eyebrow. Are you ready for this, partner? Issei asked because of their mental connection. I'm surprised by the question, mate. I'm always ready to stretch my legs and have a good fight, the dragon responded enthusiastically. Well said, the brunette responded when his left gauntlet began to glow red. This caught the attention of Office, who watched intently as the glow increased. It took a few moments for the glow to stop. When it did, he could see a gigantic red dragon. Ddraig roared loudly, generating a wave of wind. Upon seeing him, Office had to admit that she was a little surprised, but he quickly dismissed it under her emotionless gaze. Ddraig, Office said with a monotone voice of him looking at the Welsh dragon. Office answered the original Securyute, observing the dragon goddess of infinity with his green eyes. How are you alive? Asked the dragon with interest in such an event. It is basically due to your power and my partner's dragon Diabolos, which acquired the ability to be able to manifest myself to fight, explained the red dragon to the goddess of infinity. I see, Office responded understanding. So are you ready for the fight to escalate even more? Asked Issei, who was floating next to Ddraig. Are you ready for our power? The brunette asked again with a smile. This may not change anything yet, but he was happy about this fight that was taking place. At Issei's question, Office looked at the two Securyutes with his typical emotionless expression and then surrounded himself of his aura, again preparing for the resumption of the fight. Said Office, encouraging both dragons to attack her, allowing a smile to show on her expressionless face. At what the dragon said, the two Securyutes smiled and attacked the dragon of infinity. Issei attacked her with a downward kick, the which Office dodged by jumping in the air. However, Ddraig was waiting for said movement and sent him a blow with his claws. The black-haired woman saw the blow coming and increased her aura at once, after which she deflected the red dragon's claw with a kick. This caused Ddraig to growl in slight annoyance. The brunette, recovering from his previous failed attack, attacked his opponent again and, appearing behind the goddess of infinity, sent a strong blow to her back. Even so, Office dodged it and appeared over Issei and hit him. Gave a downward kick that sent him crashing to the ground. Ddraig, seeing an opportunity, attacked the dragon with his tail. However, she grabbed the limb with her hands and began to exert force, and then began to spin the celestial dragon in the air with pure brute force, knocking him to the ground, so Ddraig's body generated a large crater. Have I crushed Issei with Ddraig's body? Office asked herself in her mind, but she didn't have to think much when the answer came with Issei appearing behind her sending a kick to her head. Even so, Office dodged by descending a few centimeters, then turned around and sent a blow to the brunette, which he blocked and then punched the dragon in the stomach, but Office blocked said attack and launched an upward kick that Issei dodged by stepping back, then he attacked her again with ferocity, so both began an exchange of blows, where each one blocked and defended the other's attack. However, the dragon goddess of infinity could not help but complain of pain when an aura attack coming from Ddraig hit her on the back, and after that came another and then another and another. The red dragon launched attacks of its aura from its mouth left and right. Office, irritated and annoyed by this event, quickly got Issei off of her. Increasing her speed, she hit him in the stomach, making him squirm, then she gave him an uppercut to stop him, finishing him off with a kick to the head that sent the brunette crashing into some rubble. Having one of her opponents discard, the black-haired woman turned around and saw Ddraig with empty eyes. Surrounding herself with her aura, she disappeared from her place and appeared in front of him. The red dragon, surprising it, began its attack by sending an uppercut, causing Ddraig to growl, lifting it higher in the air, then charged an aura attack and launched it at the dragon, hitting its body, generating an explosion in the place. Ddraig, Issei shouted with concern for his friend. Damn it, he growled, looking at Office seriously as he was surrounded with his aura, increasing his power. He appeared in front of Office and hit her in the stomach and then gave her an axe kick, sending her to the ground. Recovering, Ddraig appeared next to his wielder. Boost 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 boost. The original Sekir'Yuutei began to double his power to great levels transfer. After the increases, Ddraig transferred them to his mouth, preparing his attack. Burning hell of burning flames, Ddraig said, opening his mouth, expelling his most powerful flames towards the dragon goddess of infinity, who was just recovering from Issei's blow, so she was consumed by Draig's burning flames. So quickly do you use your strongest flames? Issei asked, looking at the explosion that the Welsh dragon's attack generated, which Office was in the middle of. Well, it's the dragon goddess of infinity we're talking about. I can't afford not to go all out, Ddraig responded, looking at the cloud of smoke that was generated, impatient to see what happened to Office. Issei used his elemental senjutsu to generate a gale and disperse the smoke, so both Sekir'Yuutei saw in the crater where an Office was kneeling with her aura surrounding her, while she looked at both dragons with cold eyes, sending them a shiver. Standing up again, she continued to look at them for a few moments, suddenly disappeared, alerting both celestial dragons. Out of nowhere, Office appeared in the middle of the two, surprising them, and then launched an upward right hand at Issei that hit his chin, while Ddraig was hit with a left hand that hit him in the same place. The two Sekir'Yuuteis growled when they received the blow. Without wasting time, Office appeared above both dragons and charged a large amount of aura, preparing her attack. Now they will suffer the power of my flames, Office said monotonously. Mujiryu no Hoko, said the dragon when she opened her mouth, from which a torrent of violet flames with black touches came out that hit her opponents squarely. Issei and Ddraig screamed painfully when they were imbued with flames, being sent to the ground, generating a screen of smoke. When cutting their flames, Office was satisfied with the provocation of their actions and waited patiently for their opponents to show themselves. As they dissipated in the smoke, the two Sekir'Yuuteis could be seen lying on the ground, their bodies smoking from the heat of Office's flames. Ddraig growled, slowly standing up. Are you okay, partner? The dragon asked, looking at the chestnut tree standing next to him. Yes, I am, mate, Issei responded, looking at him. Damn, that roar was hot, it burned like hell, the honey-eyed man complained with several burns all over his armor. I agree, my scales were burned quite a bit, Ddraig responded sternly. It's time to fight back, mate, the dragon said again. I agree, we have to go with everything, the brunette responded, allowing a smile to appear on his face, which Ddraig imitated. Boost 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 boost. Ddraig gave several boosts, multiplying his power. Issei quickly followed his partner with his own augmentations. Ready, the two looked at the dragon seriously, who was waiting for them floating in the air. Disappearing from their place, the two celestial dragons began their attack together. Appearing in front of Office, he sent a punch to the stomach of the dragon goddess of infinity, while Ddraig launched a blow trying to tear his opponent with his claws. However, the black-haired woman blocked it with her hands. This surprised both dragons, who quickly separated from the goddess of infinity as a precaution against a counterattack on her part. The two Sekir'Yuuteis looked at each other for a second and nodded in silent agreement, looking again at the dragon. Issei rushed forward, appearing in front of Office, and sent a kick towards her ribs, which the black-haired woman blocked with her arm. However, Issei did not give up and threw a punch at the dragon goddess's face, but she dodged it, increasing her power further. Issei attacked with more ferocity, blows coming and going. They came from the two fighters, yet little by little, the brunette was cornering the Dragon of Infinity with his fast and wild blows, who could only block and dodge Issei. Did not let her even be able to increase her power. The brunette quickly found an opening and gave a strong kick to the black-haired woman's ribs, who twisted from the blow, taking advantage of the fact that she was distracted. Issei gave her an uppercut that lifted her into the air and finished her off with a kick, raising her higher, the Dragon of Infinity. She was trying to recover, not realizing that Ddraig was waiting for her above her. The Welsh dragon sent a blow with his claw, tearing the black-haired girl's back. The Dragon of Infinity growled when she felt Draig's claws tearing her flesh, causing blood to gush from her back. The damage was not serious due to her durability and divine resistance, but that did not mean that it did not hurt like hell after his attack. The red dragon launched a blow with his tail directly at the dragon's back. Afa screamed as she was sent crashing to the ground. However, before doing so, Issei was waiting for her, giving her a strong upward kick in the back. The stomach, which Office could barely defend herself so that the damage would not be so serious. Even so, the brunette gave her a strong blow to the face that sent her to the sky again where Ddraig was waiting for her. Boost 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 boost. After several boosts, the red dragon launched from its mouth, its fire breath infused with penetrate, hitting the dragon goddess squarely, sending her crashing to the floor, where she is. Once there was no one to receive it, so it generated a large crater, and the dust shook around the place. Issei appeared again next to his battle partner, and they both saw their work with a smile on their faces. That combination was executed perfectly, Issei said, nodding satisfied with his attack. It was an effective attack. It was good. Ddraig responded in agreement with his bear. A few moments passed for the cloud of dust to dissipate, showing an Office standing looking at the two celestial dragons with empty eyes and a look that would freeze himself. Son, I trusted myself. That's strange coming from me. It won't happen again, Office thought, scolding herself. She seems upset, Issei said. A shiver ran through his entire body. When Office gave that look, it was scary. Ddraig just nodded in agreement, preparing for whatever the dragon goddess of infinity did next. The two Securities watched as their opponent, she was surrounded by her aura again, disappearing from her place at a divine speed. The black-haired woman appeared in front of Ddraig to kick him in the head, however the Red Emperor dragon saw him coming and was ready. Boost 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 boost. Giving several boosts, the Welsh dragon blocked the Infinity Dragon's kick with his tail, surrounding her with his limb. Ddraig sent Office flying, who recompassed herself in the air. Leave me this, mate, said the red dragon to Issei next to him, who nodded, watching as Ddraig began to launch aura attacks from his mouth. Office, seeing the attack coming, deflected it with her hand, however the attacks continued to arrive, which deflected the second, third and fourth attack that Ddraig sent her. But when she was going to deflect the fifth attack, it pierced her when she was imbued by penetrating by hitting the dragon. It generated an explosion in the place, and thus the sixth and seventh attacks of Ddraig arrived. Ddraig's aura, causing the explosion to increase. A few seconds passed for the smoke to dissipate, showing Office with a serious look. You used a flaw that I mentioned to Issei with penetrating against me. Interesting, Office said in a monotone voice. But that will not happen again, the black-haired girl said again, ready for whatever comes. We'll see about that, Ddraig said, attacking Office again with his aura attacks. However, this time the dragon goddess of infinity began to dodge each of Draig's attacks with mastery and agility. I understand now, that's what they meant by camouflaging the attacks with penetrating with normal attacks, Issei thought, having observed Draig's previous and current attacks on Office. The brunette was taken out of his thoughts when the dragon of infinity he disappeared, and at a divine speed he appeared on top of Ddraig and gave him an axe kick to the head, making him grunt in pain. After receiving the blow, the red dragon reacted and counterattacked with his closed claws and a punch, which Office blocked with his hands. And was about to grab the limb to get the dragon off of her, however she had to dodge a blow from Issei. Looking at him, the black-haired woman rushed forward to attack him, launching a blow to the head, which Issei barely dodged and counterattacked. With a kick that Office grabbed with her left arm and pulled it to give the brunette a strong blow to the stomach. Issei spit out blood, but he didn't have time to compose himself. Office began to plummet towards the ground with his legs still held, crashing him into the ground. Issei's body bounced and then was consumed by an aura attack that sent him away. Looking towards where Ddraig was, she saw how it descended quickly to attack her. Deciding to intercept it, she flew towards the red dragon. Claw and fist collided violently, but that denoted that the dragon of infinity had more strength, since she was making the enormous dragon retreat. Not staying still, she appeared behind Ddraig, grabbed him by his tail and began to spin him, throwing him to the ground, colliding with an Issei who was recovering. Ah, the brunette shouted when the great dragon fell on top of him, who grunted in pain. Damn it, Ddraig, get off of me, Issei shouted at his partner. I'm sorry you caught me off guard, the Welsh dragon responded, standing up so Issei could stand up. Both Securities looked at Office seriously and flew up, standing in front of her. Ddraig, this doesn't go any further, I'll go with everything, Issei said seriously. Are you sure to use that on your dragon diabolos? If you do you will run out of stamina, Ddraig warned his partner sternly. I know, but at least I will have enough for one last attack. Prepare your best attack, Issei said with confidence. Very good partner, the red dragon responded, nodding. And now what are you planning? Asked the dragon goddess of infinity with interest. Get ready office because this will be our final attack, Issei said with determination in his voice. Oh was the only sound that came out of the dragon's lips. Issei began to shout when the aura characteristic of the power of destruction surrounded him. The aura began to intensify and become denser. Issei was surrounded by a sphere of power of destruction where his silhouette could not be seen. You could see was Issei's heartbreaking scream when the sphere exploded, generating a large cloud of smoke. When the smoke dissipated, Issei could be seen. The change was noticeable. A pair of wings made of the power of destruction appeared. Formed under the two existing pairs, a horn made of the same power emerged on his forehead, as well as on the two arms of the armor, and around the main jewel of the chest, which shone in power of destruction. Said transformation so abrupt made Office raise an eyebrow with interest. Get ready Ddraig, I don't have much time, Issei said, looking seriously. The dragon next to him nodded. What is that, Issei? Office asked, curious about the change in the chestnut tree. This is my destroyer Diabolos dragon. It is a combination of my dragon Diabolos and the power of destruction of the Baal demons, Issei responded, smiling behind his armor. Ready Ddraig said, Issei disappearing from his place. Boost. The Welsh dragon began to increase its power when its companion appeared in front of Office and gave her a strong blow to the face, which the black-haired woman was able to block with her hand. Boost. However, she was dragged back by the momentum from the blow. Issei did not stop there and sent a strong blow to the dragon goddess's stomach. However, it was blocked by the black-haired woman's other hand. Boost. Office was not prepared when the power of destruction began to surround her, making her grunt in pain due to the destructive aura on her body, separating herself from Issei. The black-haired woman counterattacked with a kick to the head. Boost. But Issei blocked it with his arm, which hurt Office's leg a little due to the spikes of the power of destruction that was in it. Even so, the black-haired woman did not stop and launched a blow at the brunette's head. Boost. Dodging the dragon's attack. Issei did not want to waste time, since he had no time left. He counterattacked at a higher speed by giving a strong blow to the black-haired girl's stomach, making her gasp as she hunched over. Boost. Then Issei gave her an uppercut, lifting her into the air, after which he hit her in the back. The chest knocked out the air, sending a kick to the dragon's ribs. This made Office grab the affected area in pain and finished it off with a hammer blow that sent her plummeting to the ground. Boost. However, Issei did not stop there and grabbed the black-haired girl's leg and threw her into the sky and then appeared on top of her and gave her an axe kick. Ready, mate? Issei asked, appearing next to Ddraig. Whenever you want, mate, the dragon responded, to which Issei smiled. Issei began to increase his power when his cannons appeared and aimed at the plummeting Office. While charging his attack destroyer Infinity Blaster, Issei shouted, firing his most powerful technique in combination with the power of destruction. Burning Inferno of Scorching Flames, Ddraig shouted, launching his technique that combined with Issei's and headed towards the descending Office, who saw the threatening attack approaching and tried to cover himself. Nothing that penetrates cannot solve, so Office was consumed due to the great attack, generating a large explosion upon impact. Issei saw the result of his technique in combination, satisfied as he panted heavily. Ddraig only remained silent, watching the cloud of smoke. A few moments passed for it to dissipate, revealing Office buried deep into the crater generated by the attack. The black-haired woman began to slowly get up and, seeing her two opponents, began to levitate to stand in front of them. Looking closely at her, the dragon goddess of infinity was quite injured. Blood was coming out of various parts of her body, but that didn't matter to her at the moment. To think that you can continue fighting after receiving that attack, incredible, Issei said between tired gasps. Oh, were you trying to defeat me with that attack? The dragon asked rhetorically. Let me tell you that you have a long way to go to do it, Office said again to the chestnut tree. I know you are invincible to me with the current power I have, the brunette said again between gasps when the dragon Diabolos disappeared, revealing Issei very hurt and with deep wounds. It seems that our fight has reached this point, said Ddraig before disappearing in a deep crimson light. However, you are still very powerful. Even though you knew you couldn't beat me, you fought like a real dragon and managed to hurt me a lot. I'm impressed. You're amazing, Office said with a serious voice, looking at the brunette in the eyes. You're the second most powerful being. Powerful one I have fought with. The black-haired woman spoke again, this time with a soft smile on her face. The second strongest? Issei asked, looking at the dragon with interest. Yes, you are, Office responded, her smile still plastered on her face. I see, that makes me happy, Issei stopped laughing when her body finally ran out of energy and collapsed, beginning to plummet to the ground. With the rest, all the spectators were with their eyes wide open and without believing it, some even couldn't help the fear that ran through them, and it was no wonder since they had a damn dragon in front of them. It was ironic since Tiamat was with them, but it was something very different to see it that way. Is that a dragon? Cadis asked, unable to help but tremble. That's what it seems like, friend, Miriam responded, very surprised. What is that dragon? Zenobia asked, coming out of shock. Ddraig, Tiamat said in a dark tone, and look. Was all the girls could say. Is that Ddraig Sama? Kiara asked incredulously. Tiamat just nodded at the question. The original Seker Yuete, how is it possible? Azazel asked, coming out of shock, very interested in this event. I told them that the dragon Diabolos was nothing compared to what they would see, said Rias with a funny smile, drawing everyone's attention. What do you mean? Explain yourself, Rias Surziches spoke with authority. That is due to one of the abilities of the Diabolos dragon Ani Sama, the Redit answered calmly, not even phasing at her brother's tone. Rias Chan's ability? Serafal asked curiously. The ability is called manifestation, and it allows Ddraig to manifest for combat, the Redit answered the question of the pigtailed Mao. But it is assumed that father destroyed Draig's body, Gabriel said confused. That is thanks to the infinite power of the Diabolos dragon, that is what allows such an event, Rias responded, so everyone nodded in understanding. Why didn't Issei tell me anything about this? Tiamat asked, annoyance clear in her voice. That is due to your conflictive relationship with Ddraig, that is why Tiamat didn't tell you, the Gremory responded with a shrug of her shoulders. As if that matters to me, the dragon complained. With the respective explanations already done, I think the time has come to see the fight between the two Seker Yuetes and the Ouroboros dragon, said Rias, returning attention to the fight in progress. Everyone nodded, doing the same. S2 Chapter 54. Different souls, same people, but Issei and Office. After the combined attack with Ddraig, Issei ran out of energy, so at this moment he was plummeting to the ground. Office was going to act and intercept the fall, but something caught his attention. A dimensional crack opened in front of her from which four came out. People, 2 men and 2 women. One of the men was red-haired and green-eyed and was dressed as if he were someone from the nobility. His mere presence radiated power. The other man was a white-haired man with blue eyes, and the 2 women were 2 black-haired men with deeply black eyes were similar to each other. Upon seeing them, Office opened her eyes in surprise, not knowing or understanding what was happening. The white-haired man saw Issei, who was plummeting, so he quickly took out his wings, being 12 demon wings, and he flew towards him, intercepting his fall, then returned to the side of his 3 companions. Issei, with a little strength he had left, looked at the demon that saved him from the fall. I knew that my rival could not die in the hands of that beast, said the white-haired man, looking at the brunette intently. Upon realizing this, he smiled before closing his eyes. Take Issei to the carrier of twilight healing to cure him, he said again. The albino passing Issei to one of the 2 black-haired girls. It's okay, she responded in a monotonous voice, seeing Office in front of her with emotionless eyes, grabbing Issei in her arms. She prepared to go with the Seker Yuete's companions. Can I fight her? The albino asked enthusiastically, looking at Office. No, the other black-haired woman next to her responded with a serious voice. It's not fair, the white-haired man complained, but the female next to him did not pay attention to him, who slowly began to approach Office. Meanwhile, the other black-haired woman arrived with Issei where the others were. Issei, some of the girls said worriedly, while Rias looked at the black-haired girl in surprise. What does this mean? Azazel asked thoughtfully, looking at the 4 newcomers. You can cure Issei, said the black-haired woman, standing in front of the former nun and placing Issei on the ground. Yes, she responded like this, using her sacred gear to take care of Issei. But how do you know my name? The blonde asked, looking at the black-haired girl. That intrigued everyone, however, she ignored the blonde and looked at Rias. It's been a while, Rias, the black-haired woman said to the Gremory, letting an imperceptible smile appear on her face. That surprised some. This girl and Rias knew each other, and if that was how they did it. Lilith, said the Redid, recovering from surprise when she saw those 4. Upon hearing the girl's name, everyone was surprised. So you also managed to get here, how did you do it? The Redid asked with intrigue. Everything will be answered along with the answers that Issei and you have to give, the one now identified as Lilith responded, shrugging her shoulders, looking away towards Office. She saw how her black-haired companion stood in front of the dragon, so she quickly went towards him. Lilith Surziches spoke, looking at her sister. What does this mean? And how do you know her, Rias? The Redid asked with a serious tone. Soon all the questions will be answered, the Redid answered her brother seriously. It seems like everything got complicated, Rias thought, looking at the 3 black-haired girls. Who are you? Office asked in a monotone voice to the black-haired girl in front of her. I'm Ouroboros Office, I'm you, he responded, causing the black-haired woman to open her eyes. What? How is it possible? He asked, showing disbelief for the first time in his existence. You will soon know, Office responded, amused by her counterpart's reaction, seeing how Lilith stood next to her. Lilith, let's each put a hand on her chest, the Dragon of Infinity instructed her sister, so she nodded, and they both put a hand on the other Office's chest. What are they doing? He asked, noticing how her aura began to surround her. It's nothing bad, don't worry, you're just unifying with us, Office responded when a bunch of snakes began to come out of her counterpart's body, to the point that her body disappeared, transforming into a bunch of snakes. After that, 1/4 of all of them they were unified with Office, thereby recovering their true power, while the rest were unified with Lilith, giving them a power equivalent to that they had with Office before becoming two entities, with two dragon goddesses of infinity at their maximum capacity. They looked and smiled. I feel like the power is going out of control inside me, said Lilith, looking at Office. If it's the same thing that happened to me when Samuel took away my power, it's a matter of time. She will soon adapt and get used to us, although it's good to be complete again, the black-haired girl responded, satisfied. Yes, it is incredible to have all this power. I never imagined something like this, Lilith responded, a touch of emotion in her voice. Let's go with the others, Office said calmly. The other dragon only nodded. While this was happening, the white-haired man and the red-haired man met with the members of the three factions. I see that you have increased your power quite a bit, Rias Gremory, said the white-haired man, looking at the Redeed with a smile. You are worthy of the Securitate, the albino finished. I say the same about you, you are not wasting your time. Oh, and thanks for the compliment, by the way, Rias responded with her own smile. While the exchange of words was happening, everyone else saw this, confused, without understanding anything at all, and they were starting to bother. It's not that I want to interrupt your talk, but can someone explain to us what is happening? Tiamat said, looking at the red-haired man nervously, making herself noticed, so the albino and the Redeed looked at her. Tiamat said, the white-haired man, raising an eyebrow, what is she doing here? And why do I feel Issei's aura in her? The white-haired man asked with interest, looking at Rias again. Many things happened, we'll tell you about it, Rias responded, both ignoring the chaos dragon, irritating her. By the way, I see that you have become quite the dragon, Rias Gremory, the Redeed spoke for the first time with a thick voice. This made those present shudder. I notice that you have enormous potential. If you know how to take advantage of it, you will be someone incredibly strong, he said again. Say the Redeed. Thank you very much, it is an honor that someone like you recognizes me, Great Red, said Rias, bowing. When they heard how the Redeed called him, everyone went static and turned pale. Even though the leaders had an idea of who it was, it didn't mean that it wasn't a shock to be faced with the most powerful being in existence. San, he said this to an Issei who was regaining consciousness. This made everyone react and look at the brunette who was opening his eyes and then sat down. Looking around, he saw the white and red-haired man, and he became serious. San, the blonde ex-nun called again, having crystal clear eyes. Don't worry like that, I'm fine, Issei said, stroking his head and giving him a smile. This calmed the blonde, then he got up and walked towards Rias, who looked at him with a smile of relief. Said the Redeed, hugging her fiancé tightly. I'm fine, Rias, just a little exhausted, the brunette replied, separating from the hug and giving the Redeed a soft kiss. When they separated, the Gremory demon nodded, so Issei separated from her and stood in front of the white-haired man. They looked for a few moments. Issei, said the white-haired man, looking at the brunette. Bali, said Issei, looking back at his rival. The atmosphere was quite tense, everyone was expectant of what would happen. After looking at each other, both celestial dragons smiled and shook hands. Ahaha, the two laughed and then gave each other a friendly hug. This made most people's jaws drop. And what happens to these people? They wanted to kill each other for a while, and now they treat each other like best friends, Murayama said, confused. There is something different about that, Vali Kiba said seriously. Some of those who heard him nodded in agreement. I didn't think I'd see you again, Issei said, separating from the hug. It will take us a long time to find them, Vali responded with a shrug of his shoulders. I see, Issei said, and then looked away towards the big red, said the brunette, stretching out his hand. It's been a while, Issei, the dream dragon responded, shaking the brunette's hand. Said a voice, feeling an extra weight on her shoulders. Looking up, she saw that it was Office. I missed you, said the dragon with a tone that seemed happy. Me too, Fis, said the brunette, so the dragon smiled. Said another similar voice, so the brunette looked ahead, seeing Lilith floating. Lilith, said the brunette, stretching out her arms so the dragon sat on them, and Issei gladly lifted her up. The dragon said again, snuggling into the chestnut's chest, who smiled, then turned around and saw everyone else looking at him, so he sighed. I guess the time has come to explain things, Issei said, looking at the faces everyone had. Thank you, everyone responded in unison, a little annoyed. What do you think if we go back to the meeting room? Rias suggested to everyone, and they went there. Meeting room. All those who participated in the meeting plus the new members entered the room and took their places for the explanation that they were going to give, with the faction leaders and companions sitting around the table and behind them respectively, while the Issei's entourage along with Rias and Sona and his entourage were on the left side of the room. In front of everyone were Great Red, Vali and Rias. On the left side of this was Issei sitting in a chair to rest due to the wear and tear he had to endure. Their previous fight. On his shoulders sat Office and on his lap Lilith. And can you explain how Issei has that power? Triexha asked seriously. I would also like to know why there are two Office and how the one who was fighting with Issei disappeared, Azazel said. Upon what was said, everyone looked at the two dragon goddesses, the six involved looked at each other and then sighed. First of all, you have to know that we are not from this time, Issei said very seriously. Was the only thing heard in the room after Issei's statement. What do you mean by that, Ice-chan? Seraphil asked, confused like the others. What Issei means is that we come from the future, Rias said seriously, so everyone opened their eyes at that. You're kidding, right? Sona asked in disbelief. No, we are not, Issei responded seriously. You see, I was fighting against a very powerful being, and Rias was helping me, but unfortunately we were both consumed by an attack from that beast. The next thing we knew was that instead of dying we woke up in this time when I was just reincarnated by Rias. Our souls had joined those of the Issei and Rias of this time. The same thing happened with the boosted gear which was reset and contained all my armor and abilities, the brunette explained seriously. That left those present impressed. But how is that possible? Irina asked without understanding. We don't know, Rias responded without knowing how that event happened. Well, I might have an idea of how it happened, Big Red spoke with his imposing voice, drawing everyone's attention. Could you tell us, Great Red Sama said Ravel in a respectful tone. Issei were consumed after a clash of powers. Asked the red-haired dragon, to which the brown-haired dragon nodded. Well, it occurs to me that that crash caused an instability in the dimension, so at the moment of the explosion, a dimensional crack was produced, which sucked them both in, bringing them to this time, generating a temporal paradox, which created and modified the timeline we are currently in, explained the Dragon of Dreams, so everyone was thoughtful. That makes sense, and would explain the trip of Sama and Rias, Samalafe said out loud, being noticed by Vali, who raised an eyebrow when he also saw Kuroka, but that's for later. Okay, but that doesn't explain how you guys are here, Issei said looking at Vali. It's true, the last thing I heard about Vali was that he was consumed by an attack from that beast, said Rias curiously. Well, Office and Lilith saved me and took me to the dimensional gap. I was recovering with their help and that of Great Red for a while. After that I returned to the fight, but when doing so we realized that the beast had been sealed in isolation space, together with the leaders of each faction, the albino explained with seriousness in his voice. Rias was going to speak, but Vali interrupted her. When we asked about you, it was as if you had vanished, no one remembered you, nor did they know who you were, that it puzzled the three of us, so we came back with Big Red. If he couldn't give an explanation, he had two theories. One was that they were sent to another dimension, and the second was that they were sent to another time. That would explain the memory loss, which affected us, because we were in the dimensional gap at that time, the white-haired man finished explaining, making the information enter everyone's mind. Before anyone spoke, Office decided to do it. The dimensional gap is a place where time does not exist, so Great Red is a unique being. The gap is not only the entrance to other dimensions, but also to other timelines. We were looking for Issei, who knows why, how much. With the help of Red, until today the ice power could be felt throughout the gap, and the bond it has with me was strengthened by having perfected the dragon diabolos. That's how we got here, Office explained with her monotone voice usual. It was a splendid fight, by the way, said Vali with emotion in his voice. I knew you would be envious of me, Issei said smiling arrogantly. Damn bastard, I wanted to fight her too, Vali complained. Calm down, as compensation we will fight after you unify your soul with the you of this time, and the divine dividing is reset, Issei said with a challenging smile. But Vali responded with impetus and a smile on his face. Everyone sweat dropped at the exchange of words. And he didn't see the whole fight, thought Rias. Wait a minute, if through the gap we can go to different timelines, does that mean we can go back to our own? Issei asked. Don't even try, we found you by pure luck, the best we can do is prepare for what's coming, said Vali, breaking any hope Issei had, who lowered his head. But that you travel in time, huh, interesting, said Azazel, laughing maniacally. Oh, he shouted when he received a blow from Penemu. Don't even think about experimenting with that, we are dealing with something serious, said the black-haired woman, scolding her leader. Everyone had a drop of water at the scene. What beast was it that they fought with? Triexha asked seriously. Trihexa, Rias responded seriously. Upon hearing what the Retid said, the leaders were so pale that they seemed dead, and he confused the rest. Are you referring to the beast that father sealed in the previous war? Gabriel asked in a fearful stutter. The six dragons only nodded grimly. This made the leaders tremble. Wait, it's Trihexa, and why do they act like that? Asked Tiamat. It would be asking the question that everyone had in mind. The Trihexa is a great chimera, which my father sealed centuries ago, Michael answered, compassing himself known as the Beast of the Apocalypse. It was the real reason why my father died in the last war, being too weak after sealing it. It is said that if it is released, it will be the end of the world, Michael explained seriously. So powerful is that beast? Tsubaki asked with her typical serious tone. That beast is as powerful as me, Great Red responded. Upon hearing it, all the teenagers and the Dragon Queen turned pale. That beast will be released in 8.5 months, said Rias seriously. But who would release such a monster? Akeno asked fearfully. Rizavam Live and Lucifer, Issei and Vali said with hatred, surprising the leaders and the others who had already heard that name before. Rizavam said Surziches, why would he do it? The Redid asked seriously. He wants to show his ideal of how he is a true demon, and he also found out about the various existing dimensions, so he wants to declare war on him, although I don't have the information about which specific dimension. Rias responded with a somber tone. Did he go crazy? Seraphil asked in disbelief, and the rest were no better. We have to do something, we have to stop it, said Michael. We will not do anything, said the two celestial dragons in unison. Which was the only thing everyone could say in disbelief. I want to fight that beast again, so I will train until I break. We all will, Issei said in a neutral tone. Yes, also this time I will be the one to kill that bastard Rizavam. The last time Fafnir did it, said Vali agreeing with Issei. They are crazy, if we don't do anything, that beast will destroy everything, said Azazel, trying to reason with the two dragons. Don't be confused, it's not like we wouldn't change anything, obviously we will, but the awakening of the Trihexa is necessary, Issei responded seriously. The awakening of that beast is the turning point that the factions need to finally unite, return to our time. Now that the Trihexa is isolated, most of the factions joined the alliance, Vali explained, calming the atmosphere. They are right on, Issa Maria said seriously. The only thing we can do is strengthen ourselves, the Redid said again. Each of the leaders thought about it for a few moments, and then each one gave a long sigh, then they looked at each other and nodded. Okay, we'll do it the way you want, replied the red-haired Mao. But Vali and Issei said in unison. Well, now that this is clarified, I guess it's time to answer the two questions that were asked at the beginning of the meeting, said Rias, drawing everyone's attention. Ah yes, I almost forgot about that, Azazel said smiling. The reason for the existence of Office and Lilith is because a few months ago, or in a few months depending on how you want to see it, we fought against some members of the Chaos Brigade, who woke up Samuel from his slumber, as you will know. The last dragon slayer and his blood is harmful to dragons. In that fight Office lost 1/4 of her power because of Samuel, and Issei died, Rias explained seriously, surprising those present. Ice-Kun died? Raynor asked, coming out of surprise. Yes, Ray, that was my second death. However, thanks to Ddraig and the sacrifice of the previous boosted gear holders, my soul was able to remain in my balance breaker. Meanwhile, Great Red and Office created a body for me in the dimensional gap with his flesh and blood and her power, and thus I was born a demonic dragon with an unknown potential, and part of that potential is my Diabolo's dragon, the brunette explained, surprising those present even more. Isan is great, she said, impressed. The other girls nodded in agreement. As for me, I was born with the power stolen from Office. Rizavam named me Lilith in honor of her mother, the dragon explained in a monotone voice, causing everyone to nod in understanding. By the way, now that this topic about the Chaos Brigade has come up, you are going to live with me, but you can't abandon it from one day to the next, said Issei, raising his head, looking at Office, who thought about it for a moment. Lilith can replace me for a while, now we have the same power so they won't notice the difference, the dragon goddess responded with a shrug of her shoulders. I don't have a problem, said Lilith, agreeing. Well then you will go with Vali, said Issei smiling at the dragon. As for you, and your team will continue to infiltrate the Chaos Brigade, said the brunette looking at his rival who nodded. Speaking of team, there is something that has been bothering me since I got here, said Vali, looking at the brunette. What is it? Issei asked curiously. Rias rolled her eyes at the question. It was obvious what was bothering the white-haired man. Can you tell why Lefei and Kuroka are with you? Vali asked seriously, looking intensely at Issei. Those mentioned, upon hearing their names, looked with curiosity at the exchange. Well, they are part of my entourage, Issei responded, scratching his head. They are part of your entourage, said Vali, one eyebrow trembling. You knew that the two of them were part of my team, what right do you come here to take them from me? Vali asked with irritation, such an outburst surprised those present. Hey, calm down, I recruited Lefei because I didn't want what happened with the Chaos Brigade to happen in our time, and Kuroka wanted to be closer to Kaneko, Issei replied, lowering his rival's temper. Even so, you know that the two of them are an essential part of my team, and Kuroka could do it even if she were part of the team, Vali said with annoyance. What's happening, Naya? Kuroka asked, intervening in the discussion of both dragons, so they looked at her. What's happening, Kuro-chan, is that in my time you were part of Vali's team, that's why he's complaining to me, Issei responded to the Nekomata with a sigh. Oh, I see, Kuroka said, looking at the white-haired man. What do you think if we make an agreement? Said the brunette, looking at the albino. What kind of agreement? Volley asked with interest. What do you think if I lend them to you? I'm sure LaFay would like to spend more time with her brother, and I know that school life is not Kuroka's, so going on a mission should allow her to clear her head from time to time, Issei proposed, leaving thoughtful to the three involved. I accept that Volley said an agreement, so both dragons looked at the two girls waiting for an answer. I agree Ai-sama, so I will spend more time with Arthur Nai-sama, said LaFay agreeing with the idea. I would like the idea too, said Kuroka, nodding to herself. Well, then you will also go with Volley to meet her team, Issei said smiling. Even so, I think you would need some reinforcement for the upcoming battles Rias said, looking at the white-haired man who nodded in agreement. I was thinking the same thing, but I can't think of anyone, the white-haired man responded thoughtfully. How about Lavinia? Issei asked, earning a shudder from Volley that made him smile. Don't even mention her, Volley dismissed, trying to seem indifferent. Oh, don't tell me you're afraid of a woman, Virginia-kun? Issei asked, amused. Shut up, Ai-kun. Volley glares at the brunette, so they both stare at each other for a few seconds, and then sigh. At least you have to make the magician demon contract with her, Issei said, trying to convince him. About that, I was wondering if you wouldn't let me do it with LaFay, said the Volley, surprising the brunette and the magician herself. What? No, LaFay was the magician with whom I made my contract, and she will be the one I do it with now too, Issei responded, flatly refusing. Come on, Issei, LaFay is already your servant, and I need her to have a bond with me apart from her brother being on my team. I make the contract with LaFay and you with Lavinia, what do you say? Said Volley, looking at Issei, who looked back at him with interest. I'll think about it, but I won't promise you anything, the brunette replied, trying to sound indifferent, failing completely. The white-haired man just smiled. Can't you think of anyone else? Rias asked thoughtfully, so everything remained silent for a while. What about Krom Kruch? Office asked, contributing her opinion so everyone looked at her. It is true, despite being an evil dragon, it is a very powerful being, said Rias, accepting the suggestion. That would be a good addition to the Volley team. Krom Kruch reached the level of a celestial dragon. It would be interesting to fight against him, Albion spoke, so that everyone could hear him. That surprised some, but what was most surprising was the mention of the power of the evil dragon. The power of a celestial dragon, some people thought in surprise. That's true, Krom Kruch has been training over the centuries and has become very strong, unlike others who spent their time sleeping, Ddraig said, this time being sarcastic in the last part. Ddraig, what is that supposed to mean? Tiamat asked in a dangerous tone as she irradiated power. Issei quickly approached the dragon and gave her a soft kiss to calm her down. Don't worry, don't pay attention to what he says, the brunette said softly, causing the light-haired girl to pout. When Issei saw him, he smiled and gave the dragon another kiss. After that, Issei returned to his chair, so as if they were lightning, Office returned to his shoulders and Lilith to his lap. Well, I guess we already have a candidate, said Volley with a smile. I think so, Issei responded in the same way. By the way, how long do you think it will take for the sacred gear to restart? Volley asked a little anxiously. That depends, it could be a couple of days or a couple of weeks, the brunette replied, shrugging his shoulders. I see, the white-haired man responded. What I do tell you, when you join your counterpart you will faint for a while, warned the brown-haired Volley. He only nodded. Well, it seems that this meeting is over. I will return to the dimensional gap, said Great Red, opening a dimensional crack. Goodbye, Red, Issei greeted before the dragon passed the crack. Most of those present released a sigh that they did not know they contained before the departure of the dragon god. I leave too, Volley spoke. Come on, Lilith. Kuroka, LaFay, he spoke again, so the aforementioned nodded. The dragon of infinity got off Issei's lap. This made him stop, and Office got down to the ground. Then both Kuroka and LaFay approached Issei and gave him a soft kiss to say goodbye, after which the three girls stood next to Volley, who opened a dimensional rift. This surprised some and others did not give it importance. Yes, one could because the other couldn't. He can do it too, Issei thought when a smile appeared on his face. You weren't wasting your time, Ice, said Rias seriously because of their mental connection. This is getting interesting, mate, Ddraig said happily. Hey Issei, before I forget, I brought you something from our timeline. I thought you would need it, said Volley looking at the brunette. And what is? Issei asked curiously. This, said Volley, putting his hand in his pocket and then throwing the object at him. When he grabbed it and looked at what he had in his hand, he opened his eyes. What he saw in his hand was a doorknob. That's it, said Rias, opening her eyes. Issei looked at Volley in search of an answer. He just nodded. It is what it is, said Volley before crossing the crack with the three girls following him. Is that an Ice-chan door handle? Seraphil asked curiously. If it is, it will be Chan, Issei responded looking at Arena and Gabriel. Why would I-senpai give you a door handle? Kaneko asked with an expressionless tone. This is special, it is an invention that Taoji and the sky scientists will make in a while, Issei responded calmly. My father? The curious orange-haired girl asked, turning her head to the side. And what is Ai-sama for? Kiara asked, curious about the question. Issei looked at Arena. So that Irina and I have children, Issei responded, smiling shamelessly. That statement made Irina and some of the girls blush furiously. But what are you saying, Issei? Irina shouted, super embarrassed. Issei, you mean? Zenobia asked, surprised. Yes. A euphua laugh was heard that disconcerted everyone. Suddenly Issei was hugged possessively by someone. It was Gabriel. Then the time came to finalize our relationship, finally, said the Archangel, a light yellow magic circle appearing and then disappearing along with Issei. The Archangel's action surprised more than one. What does this remind me of? Rias asked herself with a sigh. If Yufu, it seems that Ice-kun and Gabriel Sama will have fun, Akeno said, laughing. Ah, I remembered, said Rias, looking at her friend. And to think that Gabriel would act like that, Penemu said with a smile. Are you okay, Azazel? Rias asked, looking at the man. Yes, because? Asked the cadre. They're crying tears of blood, said the Redeed, amused. That statement made everyone look at the Redeed, who just hit the table hard and fell to his knees on the floor. That damned lucky bastard, now he will have Gabriel, said the black-haired man as more tears fell. Oh, Azazel-sensei, said a male voice next to him. It was Saji, who had also knelt down and had the same tears as the cadre. I understand you perfectly, said Saji, and then both men hugged each other masculinely. Damn Haidu, Issei, I curse you, you bastard, the two shouted at the top of their lungs. Everyone had a drop of sweat from the dramatic scene. Rias quickly coughed to get everyone's attention. It goes without saying that what was learned here stays here, right? The Redeed asked seriously. A few moments passed for everyone to agree the meeting ends here, Rias said again, so little by little everyone began to leave. S2 Chapter 55 Final. Gabriel plus 18. Haidu residence, Issei's room. The magic circle in which Gabriel took Issei appeared directly in the brunette's room, where Issei and a Gabriel who was hugging him tightly were seen. When the circle faded, the seraph loosened her grip on the brunette and I looked into each other's eyes. They both looked at each other longingly. Are you excited, Gabriel-chan? Issei asked, amused, to the blonde, blushing with embarrassment for the outburst she had. Well, I have been waiting for this moment for a long time, and now we can finally show each other our love thoroughly, Gabriel responded, looking away. This made the brunette laugh, taking the blonde's chin. He made her look at him. You're so pretty when you're embarrassed, Issei said, gently kissing the blonde with light blue eyes, causing her to melt from the sweet and delicate touch of their lips. After a few moments they separated, looking at Gabriel. Issei noticed that she was looking at him with bright eyes. Don't be ashamed, I've also been waiting for this for a long time, the brunette said softly upon hearing it. Seraphim kissed him again. Issei responded with pleasure. Do you want to do the honors, Gabriel-chan? Issei asked after separating from the kiss, taking the door handle out of his pocket. Of course, Ice, the blonde responded with a smile, grabbing said object to go put it at the door of the room. Remember to put it on the outside, Issei said, smiling at the most beautiful woman in heaven, who nodded, going to put the handle on the door, while Issei went to sit on the end of the bed after putting the door handle on. The blonde re-entered and closed it and then put a barrier in the room, silencing it. But that done, Gabriel approached Issei provocatively and sat on his lap, looking into each other's eyes. They both shortened the distance and gave each other a deep kiss, which intensified with each passing second. Issei put his tongue into the Archangel's mouth, exploring it completely. Both began an intense exchange of saliva that they enjoyed as much as they could. If Yufu, you're anxious, Ice-kun, said the blonde, amused, when they separated by a few millimeters to take a breath, while a thread of saliva still joined them while she moved her hips provocatively, stimulating the brunette, making him grunt. Of course I am, I have been wanting you since that time we met in that training place of mine, Issei growled, eager for him and his beloved angel to finally be one. When Gabriel heard this, he smiled, provoking him even more. So what are you waiting for, Issei? Gabriel asked, amused by how his partner acted as he approached the chestnuts. I'm all yours, take me and mold me to your will, Seraphim whispered in a sensual way, blowing her hot breath into his ear. This made all of Gabriel's self-control. Issei broke down, picking up the Archangel. He laid her on the bed and against all thought, instead of giving her a hugging kiss full of lust, he kissed the woman beneath him softly, delicacy and love. She did not deserve to be overwhelmed by his unbridled lust. No, she deserved him to show her all the love, desire, longing and affection that he felt for her, and he still had enough self-control to not ruin it. Realizing this moved Gabriel and made him almost shed a tear. She mentally smiled for all the feeling that Issei transmitted to her in his kiss. This made her love him even more, and she was going to repay him in the same coin. The Archangel wrapped her arms around the chestnut's neck and brought him closer to her, deepening the kiss and transmitting the same feelings that he showed her. A few moments passed for both to separate and look each other in the eyes. Issei looked down at the white robe that Gabriel was wearing, appreciating it for a few moments, and then stripping it of it, taking it with him. The surprise was that under the Seraphim was not wearing anything, being completely naked. He stood appreciating it for a few moments before speaking. Wow, you were prepared. Did you want this even if you didn't get that handle? Issei asked with a mischievous smile, looking Gabriel in the eyes. Ufufufu Gabriel laughed at the brunette's reaction and questioned, just stop talking and take my body ice kun, after all it belongs to you, said the blonde with a sensual smile that made Issei nod vigorously. As my lady ordered, the brunette said with amusement, grabbing one of the archangel's breasts and beginning to suck it with enthusiasm, while he massaged the other one with his hand. Lemon skipped, please read it on website. They continued to transmit their love to each other, getting lost in time, not knowing if hours, days, months or years passed. The X1. The Magicians. Li-Fi. Meeting the Ice Mage. It had been a while since Issei and Rias had returned to the past, and they were currently in their room at the Haidu residence curled up in bed not knowing what to do. How boring, said the red-haired demon in an annoyed tone, not knowing what to do. Don't worry, Rias, there are only a few hours left until dinner, Issei said, caressing the girl's red hair for her pleasure. I know, we already finished our training for today, and we don't have work at the club, I would just like something to do, Rias responded, pouting, while she snuggled closer to Issei. When the brunette listened to her, he became thoughtful for a few moments. What do you think if we go on a date? The brunette asked, smiling, knowing that this will lift the spirits of his king girlfriend, and as Rias predicted, upon hearing it, she turned around quickly to look at his face. His blue eyes were bright and denoted dreaminess and emotion. Are you serious? Rias asked excitedly, making the brunette giggle. Of course I do, Issei responded, running his fingers over the redeed's cheeks, caressing them. Rias shouted with enthusiasm and excitement before giving the brunette a short kiss and getting out of bed. Then I have to get ready, said Rias, and then began to undress. I have to take a bath and put on appropriate clothes, she said again. You look excited and happy, Issei said with a smile, happy with the state of mind that the redeed was showing. Of course I am, this is the first date you will take me to since we returned, it seems normal to me, said the Gremory, looking at him with her bright eyes before leaving the room and heading towards the bathroom, seeing Issei leaving. He smiled and then sighed. Thank goodness I've already bathed, I just have to get dressed and wait for my crimson princess, Issei said to himself, a smile plastered all over his face. Getting up from the bed he went to his closet and searched through his clothes, choosing a black jeans, along with a plain red t-shirt and a black leather jacket and sneakers of the same color. It seems that today is going to be black day, Issei said, amused to see his choice of almost entirely black clothing. That sounded better in my head, Issei said again, sighing while frowning slightly. After appreciating his clothes for a few more moments, he changed and headed towards the stairs to go down to the first floor to wait for the redeed. When she arrived in the living room of the house, he met his parents, who were surprised when they saw him. Why are you so dressed up, son? Goro asked, looking away from his diary. I'm going on a date, Issei responded, smiling at his father. A date with Rias-chan, Miki said, staring at her son with curious and nosy eyes. Being honest with herself, she never thought that a day like this would come, so she felt happy. Yes, Oka-san, Rias was bored so going on a date came up, said the brunette looking back at him. Oh, I'm so happy for Rias-chan, finally, and you deigned to take her out of the house, said the brunette with a smile on her face. The son is supposed to be me, Issei thought with a drop of sweat. I'm so proud, my son has finally become a man, said the older brunette, raising his thumb to his son, while he cried manly tears, causing Issei to sweat once again at his parents' behavior. Well, I'll wait for Rias, said the brunette, and then sat down on the couch to wait for his partner. And tell me where you plan to take Rias-chan? Miki asked, looking at his son. Well, he had planned to go for a walk and have fun somewhere. After that I plan to take her to dinner at a restaurant suitable for our standards, the current Sekirute responded calmly. I think it's a good plan. I hope you have fun, her mother said again. I hope you don't ruin it, and Rias-chan leaves you, Yufufufu, said the brunette, laughing amused, receiving a withering look from Issei. Yufufu, calm down, Ice. Just joke. The brunette changed her expression to appease her son, who sighed. By the way, son, Goro spoke, drawing Issei's attention, who looked at him with curiosity. What did you mean by our standards? The older brunette asked, raising an eyebrow, making Issei nervous. It's true, that makes me curious, his mother intervened again. Damn me and my mouth, Issei thought, reproaching himself. I wasn't referring to anything specific, I was just saying because I want to take her to a place that suits her, and I don't want to disappoint her. Issei spoke quickly, praying that his parents believe his excuse, who at first seemed skeptical, but in the end believed his son, making him sigh in relief. You should have told them the truth, Ddraig spoke to his partner. And what do you want me to tell them? Hey Otu-sama, Oka-sama, both Rias and I are supernatural beings, and we are going to go to a bar where supernatural beings of all kinds gather in the city, and it just so happens that the owner of the place, he is currently an enemy, said Issei sarcastically. Not that exactly, but there are half-truths, you know, said Ddraig, a little irritated with his partner. Besides, you want to take her to that bar, precisely to establish an alliance with that team led by Azazel and kill two birds of one shot, said the Welsh dragon again. It's true, that bar is a nice place to take her on a date and also be able to establish an alliance with a /dog team, said the brunette, agreeing with his partner. Well, we'll talk later, your partner is coming down, Ddraig said, disconnecting his communication. Just as he said, Rias was going down the stairs, earning the surprised look of the three Haidu present. The Redeed was coming down the stairs wearing a dress. Blue color that matched her eyes, which suited her extremely well, giving the image of a goddess on earth. Issei was entranced as he looked at the beautiful demon approaching him, her white heels clicking on the steps as she descended. How beautiful you look, Rias-chan, said Miki, flattering her daughter-in-law, who smiled when she heard her. While Goro also approved of her, the Redeed approached the stupefied Issei, who did not look away from her. And how do I look? Rias asked with a flirtatious smile as he walked around, showing himself completely to the brunette. Beautiful, like a goddess was the only thing Issei could say when he came out of his stupor. Upon hearing it, Rias blushed furiously at the compliment he received. Thank you, the now not so confident Gremory princess stammered. Do you think we go? Issei asked, smiling at the reaction he got from his partner for what he said before, while he offered her his arm. Of course, Rias responded, grabbing the brunette's arm, putting it between his breasts and then heading to the exit. Have a good time guys, said Miki, smiling at the couple. Thank you, Okasama, the Redeed replied, smiling at her mother-in-law, and then both demons left the house. Streets of Kuo. Issei and Rias were walking through the streets of Kuo holding hands, enjoying the silence that accompanied them. You know, Issei said, drawing the attention of his companion, who looked at him. I thought you were going to dress in your crimson dress. The brunette spoke again, looking at the Redeed. I decided to change a little, or do you just not like it? Rias asked, gathering tears in his eyes, looking at him tenderly, wanting his boyfriend to fall into her trap. Because she looks at me that way, damn she looks so pretty, Issei thought, trying to bear the Redeed's gaze. I don't love it at all, I only mentioned it out of curiosity. I had told you no before, you look beautiful and no. No matter what you wear, you will still be them, said Issei, looking deeply at the demon, who was lost in the brunette's gaze, and they both looked at each other for a moment. Issei took advantage of this and began to caress Ria's cheek with his free hand, then the two began to get closer, and thus joined their lips in an affectionate kiss between them. A few seconds later they separated and looked into each other's eyes, which reflected affection and love. You know that I love you, right? The brunette asked as he buried his head in the Gremory's neck, smelling her aroma, which was intoxicating for him, making the blue-eyed girl sigh. I know, because I do it too, Rias responded, resting his head on her partner's shoulder. The two enjoyed the moment until they separated and looked at each other with a smile on their faces. Well, where are you taking me? The Redeed asked with curious emotion in her voice. Well, I was thinking about taking a tour of the city, and then I was planning to go have fun at the games in a shopping center or at the amusement park and end the night by going to eat. The current Sekirute responded to his beautiful Redeed. Oh, I would like the amusement park, Rias spoke, choosing where to go. The park will be then, Issei said, amused by the Gremory's actions. And by the way, where do you plan to take me to eat? Asked the interested demon. I was thinking about taking you to Tobio's bar, she replied calmly, surprising her. To the dog bar? The Redeed asked, coming out of her initial surprise. Yes, it is a nice place and we can also meet them, and I could sign an alliance with his group. I say since they are in Kuo they could help us in the future, the brunette answered, explaining his reasoning, leaving Rias thoughtful. Well, it could be a good idea, although we are prepared enough, it would be good to start forging relationships before the DXD group is formed and start fostering peace between the three factions from now on, said Rias analytically, knowing that this would be positive for the future that was coming. It's decided then, Issei said, smiling. We continue with our night, my lady. Issei joked as he offered his arm to Rias again. Of course, my prince, the Redeed returned, laughing with amusement as she took Issei's arm and continued on their way through the city of Kuo. The couple walked through the city, going through the commercial district, where they passed by several stores, window shopping and shopping. Different things for both of them. After a while they both decided to go to the amusement park, to which Rias chose to go. Being already at the entrance of the park, the Redeed dragged the brunette, excited to have fun. Come on, let's go to some attraction, Rias said, without holding back your enthusiasm. Which one do you want to go to, Rias? The brunette asked, keeping pace with his partner. I think it's obvious, no, roller coaster, the demon responded in a sing-song voice. This made Issei smile. Very well then, replied the current Sekirute, ready to fulfill the Crimson Princess's request. A few moments passed in which they both arrived at the attraction, so Issei bought the tickets and they got in line to wait for their turn, which came after a few minutes. Getting into the cart side by side, they waited for them to march on the tracks of the attraction. When it started to move you could hear the excited and fun-filled screams of Rias, who was having a great time, while the brunette decided to remain silent, yes, with a crazy smile on his face, watching the funny reactions of his partner next to him. After a few minutes the roller coaster stopped and the two demons got off. Upon exiting to the center of the park you could see the couple too close, while Rias laughed like a child, and Issei caressed her hair and looked at her with a loving smile. That was funny, said Rias, stopping laughing to look his brunette in the eyes. Without a doubt it was, your expressions were totally worth it, Issei responded, laughing, earning a playful blow from the Redeed, along with a pout from her, an action that was counteracted by a kiss from the brunette, making her blush slightly. What was that? The blue-eyed girl asked, embarrassed. What? I can't kiss my future wife, said the honey-eyed man, looking deeply into the eyes of the embarrassed girl. I didn't say that, of course you can, Rias responded, returning his gaze. Okay then, said the brunette to give him another kiss, but this time it was deeper and harder for a few seconds. It's just that you caught me off guard, said the Redeed when they separated to take a breath and join their lips again. What do you think if we continue our journey? The honey-eyed man asked, smiling. Yes, I want a stuffed animal, Rias responded, smiling like a little girl. Issei just nodded and took her to get the happy stuffed animal, this being a crimson elephant. Having the Redeed happy, Issei prepared to take her to the other games in the park, Roll of Fortune, bumper cars among others were the games that the couple went on. They both enjoyed their time together. After having fun for a while longer they decided that it was time to continue with their date, and they left the amusement park to head towards the bar restaurant they were going to attend, Black Dog Bar, and the bar where the Slash Dog team works. They were currently doing their work while Lavinia Renai was singing on stage. That was the sight that Issei and Rias found when they entered the place, seeing their future allies. The brunette, upon hearing Lavinia's voice, was instantly captivated and could not pay attention to anything other than her and did not realize that Tobio was approaching them. Rias, noticing this, frowned at Issei and gave him a blow to get him out of his reverie, which he managed to catch his attention. The Redeed only made a sign telling him that the black-haired man was approaching, so Issei compassed himself and paid attention to the boy who was approaching them. Good evening, how can I help you? The Candace Lycaean bearer asked the couple, getting a little tense when he recognized Rias, something that both demons noticed but did not give importance to. Good evening, we would like a table please, Issei spoke, deciding that he was going to be the one to take control of the situation, to which Rias saw no problem. Of course, please follow me, the black-haired man responded politely, heading to one of the empty tables near the stage, which Issei thanked in silence, since this way he could admire and appreciate the beauty and angelic voice of the blonde singer more closely. Upon reaching the table, Issei took the chair for Rias to sit, a gesture that the Redeed appreciated. Since his girlfriend was already sitting, Issei decided to act. Thank you for your kindness, said Issei, standing in front of the black-haired man. Let me introduce myself. I am Haidu Issei, current Sekiruyute, and as you may have noticed, the beautiful lady who is next to me is Rias Gremory, one of the demons who is in charge of this territory. The brunette introduced himself, stretching his hand towards Tobio, seeing with satisfaction how he tensed even more and could smell the nerves that he emanated. It's a pleasure to meet you, Issei-san. I'm Iku's Tobio, current bearer of the Candace Lycaean. The black-haired man responded after recovering from the surprise and relaxing a little, stretching out his hand. Both boys shook it, then he looked at the Redeed, who deigned to speak with a haughty smile on his face. Nice/dog-san, I'm Rias Gremory. I'm a high-class demon from the Gremory family, and just as my pawn said, they are one of the demons that manages Kuo. The Redeed introduced herself elegantly. Your pawn? Asked the black-haired man, looking at Issei with a confused look, a little nervous about what the girl called him. He knew about the situation of the three factions and did not want any problems with any of them, much less belonging to the fallen faction. Upon hearing that, he asks, both demons nodded. And what brings you here? Tobio asked, now calmer. Oh, I just brought my king to spend a nice evening, said Issei, looking at Rias with a mocking look, which made the Redeed pout, making the brunette laugh a little. I understand, the black-haired man responded, looking at the interaction between both of them. So for the moment you can bring me the best wine. You have to start our dinner. Then I would like to meet your team if you don't mind, Issei asked, already sitting in front of Rias and casually having the stage right in front of him, delighting in the view of Lavinia. Of course it's not, and I'll bring you what you ordered right away. In the meantime you guys think about what to order to eat, Tobio said, and then left, all while Issei only looked at Lavinia, who noticed his gaze, so she gave it to him. Returned, and both of them stared intensely while the blonde sang. Both had each other's attention until Rias got fed up with this and kicked Issei under the table, causing him to wince in pain, and the eye contact between the singer and spectator stopped. Upon recovering from the pain, the brunette became nervous when he saw his girlfriend's withering gaze. Did we come here to have a good time or just so you can keep your eyes on Lavinia? The red-haired demon asked in a dangerous whisper, making the brunette more nervous. I'm sorry, I couldn't help but admire her beauty and her voice, as well as get lost in her gaze. She is so beautiful and perfect, Issei said with his voice a little loud, causing the Redeed to only frown at him. Brown, although obviously not as much as you, my queen, Issei said again with a loving smile, trying to appease Ria's anger, succeeding as she smiled. Although being honest with herself, she couldn't get angry with him, after all her boyfriend was honest with her. what he said. What Rias did not notice was that being so close to the stage, Lavinia heard Issei's words, a blush appearing on her face. The girl looked at him again while he was singing, and Issei smiled at her and winked at her, deepening his blush on the blonde. After that Tobio returned with the wine ordered previously, to which the couple decided to order their food. The black-haired man did not object to this and took their order, after which he left, leaving the couple alone. And what kind of agreement do you think we should reach with Tobio? Issei asked curiously to her king, looking into her eyes. I have been thinking, since they, with Azazel's authorization, blatantly set up a bar in demon territory, I think we could take advantage of it to at least help us with the renegades that appear in the city. Of course they will have strict contact with us, and it will be both behind the back of Sona, as well as Nai-sama and Azazel. They do not have to find out about this alliance until it is necessary, said the Redeed thoughtfully. Upon hearing her, Issei thought, don't you think that's risky, not telling anyone? The brown man asked seriously. I know what you are getting at, the fact that if the underworld finds out about this alliance, it can be taken as betrayal on our part, and Nai-sama will not be able to intervene. But if we tell Nai-sama, I don't think he will see with good eyes this relationship, so he reached the same conclusion. As for Sona, she would only refuse, showing her usual blessed logic and seriousness. Giving all the points that we would have against when formalizing this alliance, it would only be a hindrance, and knowing Azazel, I don't think he would care too much. Rias explained her points of view regarding the situation. Issei nodded at what was said. I understand, we will do it this way, then the honey-eyed man responded calmly. After the conversation, minutes passed and their dinner arrived, so they ate calmly while they spent the time chatting and laughing among themselves. After they had eaten, they were delighted while they continued drinking the exquisite wine. It didn't take them long to realize that the customers were beginning to leave the place, and Lavinia stopped singing, so they knew that the time had come to do business. At the moment the last customer left the establishment, the couple watched as a group of 5 people and a sacred gear with consciousness approached their table. Well, Issei, just as we talked about it, I'd like to introduce you to my team, Tobio said with a somewhat nervous smile as he looked from him to his group. Nice to meet you, my name is Samaji Makaki. The first to introduce himself was the other man in the group. My name is Natsume Minagawa. The brunette introduced herself respectfully. I'm Sei Toho, my pleasure, said the girl politely. My pleasure, I'm Lavinia Rinai, and it was the turn of the beautiful blonde to introduce herself, who wore a faint blush on her face as she looked at Issei. She was having all the attention of the aforementioned, who compassed herself and turned her gaze back. To whom Kauki introduced himself first. A pleasure, Kauki, I am Haidu Issei, current Secretary. The brunette introduced himself. Upon hearing this, Tobio's classmates were surprised and Lavinia opened her eyes wide. Issei saw the reaction strangely as he extended his hand towards Kauki, who, coming out of shock, did the same. And they both shook it. The Secretary? Natsume said when reacting. That's right, Tobio didn't tell you anything. Issei asked confused. Not only did he say that someone important wanted to meet us, Issei responded for her friend. I see, Issei responded understanding. Virginia-kun's destined rival, Lavinia thought with concern. It's a pleasure to meet you ladies, Issei said, greeting the 2 girls formally, kissing their hands, and then standing in front of Lavinia and looking at her with a smile, taking her out of her thoughts. They both stared at each other for a few seconds. The blonde was resisting the urge to deflect. The look of the boy's intense eyes. It is a pleasure to meet such a beautiful creation of God, Issei said, kneeling, grabbing the blonde's hand and then kissing her. He's so chivalrous, Natsume and Sei thought dreamily. Beautiful creation of God. These words ran through Lavinia's mind as she blushed. She considered herself flirtatious and often played with her male companions for their amusement, and in fact many have flattered her, but something about the Secretary threw her off. And it was somehow attractive to her that she couldn't keep calm around him. It might be because of the words she heard him say a while ago, she didn't know. Either lascivious desires behind a mask of chivalry. Rias couldn't help but roll her eyes while he laughed ironically in her mind. Coming out of his thoughts, she saw that the brunette stood up again. Well, the beautiful lady who accompanies me is Rias Gremory, my king and girlfriend, Issei said, pointing to the Redeed who smiled and stood next to Issei. It's a pleasure, I'm Rias Gremory, a high-class demon, and the supervisor of this territory. The demon introduced herself, like a princess to those present. Tobio's companions were shocked when they heard the Redeed, because they knew the possible consequences of being in enemy territory so coincidentally, although the bar was exclusive for supernatural beings. Both those who lived and those who were passing through the city were never asked for permission from those in charge of it to establish it, and that made them nervous. At the same time, seeing the tension that was generated, Tobio decided to introduce the last member of his team. By the way, this Jin is the Canis Lycaean sacred gear, said the black-haired man, presenting the dog next to him, who only barked in a friendly way, since he saw no danger in them. The 2 demons just smiled. And tell me why you wanted to talk to we? Tobio asked, getting serious, asking the question only for formality. I guess you know the answer, Issei said with the same expression. Can we know why allies of the fallen angels are living and working so peacefully in my city? Rias asked sternly, creating a tense atmosphere in the place, which remained silent for a few seconds, with the faces of the /dog team contorted without knowing what to respond. Well, we needed a stable job in addition to the missions we took from Grigory, and Azazel likes the city, so he put a bar here. Being how carefree he is, he never thought about this possibility. Tobio spoke seriously. The possibility that one of the demons who administers the city noticed our establishment, Lavinia said, this time with the same look. Upon hearing that, both Rias and Issei sighed tiredly, knowing what Grigory's ruler was like. And now that, will they make us close the bar and leave? Asked the blonde. Of course not, said Rias with a faint smile. Hey, the /dog team exclaimed in complete confusion. As you heard, what we came here for today is to form an alliance with you, Rias said again simply. An alliance? Tobio asked with confusion. That's right, in exchange for staying in my territory, you will have to help us with the renegades that usually appear and various latent difficulties, in addition to giving us a 50% discount every time we come here, Rias explained calmly. Wait, what will happen to the other city administrator? Kaki asked confused. Their deal will be exclusively with the two of us, except for a greater cause this time, Issei spoke, capturing everyone's attention. Both Sona Citri, as well as Surzich's Lucifer and Azazel, have no reason to find out about this pact, the brunette explained, leaving a moment of silence for the information to be processed. Although they will have more relationship with Issei, since I have the feeling that he will come to this place often, said Rias looking at Lavinia, who looked back at her. Neither of them backed away. If you are willing to respect this agreement, we can sign our alliance, Issei spoke to divert the attention of the retreat and blonde. For what purpose would that be, Icon? Lavinia asked, earning a look from Rias. She only gave the retreat a challenging smile. But the aim of demonstrating that the three factions can work together and that a future alliance can be possible, the brunette responded, making everyone nod. I agree, Tobio spoke, taking a step forward and extending his hand to Issei. Then we consider this alliance agreed upon, said the brunette, shaking the black-haired man's hand. Everyone smiled after that. Well, with everything resolved, I think it's time to leave us, Ice, said Rias, looking at his partner, who nodded and gave a wad of money to Tobio to pay the bill. Well, we'll see each other soon, Issei said smiling, and then turned his head towards Lavinia and approached her. It's a pleasure to have met such a beautiful angel who fell from heaven, Issei said, and then kissed the blonde's hand and then stood next to her. Daria's leaving the place, leaving Lavinia standing there. It seems that Lavinia captivated the dragon, hahaha, Kauki said, laughing mockingly, but it didn't last long, since she received a blow. Shut up, Lavinia said, blushing and embarrassed. The others decided to remain silent. Life 2. Pendragon. A few days had passed since the incident of the fallen angels, and right now the members of the Grimory group were in the occult club carrying out their certain tasks, with the inclusion of Lefay and Rainer as part of Issei's new entourage. Things were a little tense at first, especially with Rainer, but as the days went by and the more they lived with her, things began to relax. Is Sam ready to go? Asked Lefay with enthusiasm. Yes, Faye, we can go now, the brunette said, smiling at the blonde. Go where? Rainer asked suspiciously. Oh, we're going to England to visit my family, the smiling blonde replied. The Pendragon family? Asia asked with doubt. Lefay just nodded. Yes, since Isama brought me to Japan, I haven't seen them, and if we add to that I didn't tell them anything, they must be very worried, said the magician with a little regret. Ara, the little princess is escaping from the castle with her dragon, Akeno said, bothering those involved, causing Lefay to blush. It's not like that, Akeno-sama, the blonde said hurriedly, trying to avoid any misunderstanding. Yufufu Akeno laughed, not being able to help it, but she suddenly stiffened when someone put his arm around her waist. It seems that someone is jealous and looking for attention, Issei spoke in a whisper in the ear of the black-haired girl who shivered. You are so naughty, I think you need a punishment, Issei said again, spanking the violet-eyed girl, making her blush and taking her out. A soft moan. Enough, Ice, Rias spoke with an authoritarian tone, so the brunette obeyed and returned to his place before everyone's blushing gaze. Rias only sighed. Those games between Issei and Akeno became common lately, generating a lot of sexual tension between them. On the day the brunette marking her was going to be a spectacle, which is why the Redeed had to be on top of them constantly. Well, I think it's time to go, Faye said Issei, opening a dimensional crack that will transport them directly to the Pendragon mansion. Yes, Isama, the blonde responded, standing next to the brunette. Well, see you, Issei said, receiving greetings from her classmates before disappearing into the crack. England Pendragon Mansion. In the living room of the mansion were the current leaders of the Pendragon family, Uther and Layla Pendragon, who were chatting pleasantly when suddenly a crack opened in the middle of the room, putting them on alert. All that disappeared when they saw their son emerge from their precious daughter, whom they believed missing, along with a young man whom they did not know. Hello, Okasama, Odo-sama, Lefay said, greeting her parents shyly. The Fae, my girl, the older blonde shouted, going to hug her daughter, being followed by her husband. Issei smiled when he saw Lefay reunited with her parents. My girl, what happened to you? Where have you been? Layla asked her daughter without separating from the hug. Well, I've been busy, LaFay responded uncomfortably. A few minutes passed and the three Pendragons separated, and that was when they noticed Issei's presence. Uther's eyes were filled with rage when he noticed the brown aura. You kidnapped my girl, the blonde shouted, summoning a sword, going to attack Issei, who was too surprised by the man's reaction. Wait, Odo-sama, I-sama didn't do anything like that, said LaFay, standing in front of the chestnut tree. Upon seeing this, Uther stopped the sword centimeters from his daughter. What do you think you're doing, LaFay? He's a demon, the blonde said with annoyance towards his daughter, who was still standing firmly in her place. I know, but he's not bad, and it's not like he was a demon by choice, the blonde magician spoke, defending her king. Explain yourself, LaFay, her mother spoke seriously, the aforementioned only nodded. Would you allow us to sit? The blonde asked her parents. Of course, said Layla, going to sit on one of the sofas, dragging her grumpy husband with her, while Issei and Faye sat in the chair in front. Elaine, please come, the woman called after a few seconds. Then some footsteps were heard, and then a blonde appeared in the place. When she saw LaFay, she ran to hug her. LaFay-chan, the brunette shouted, hugging the younger blonde, who returned the hug with pleasure. It's been a while, Elaine, LaFay responded happily, separating from the hug. This is Haidu Issei, he's a friend, said the blonde, introducing her companion. The brunette looked at him for a few seconds and then greeted him. It's a pleasure to be Elaine Westcott, the maid introduced herself. A pleasure, beautiful lady, Issei said respectfully, making Elaine blush faintly. Elaine, could you please bring us tea? Layla spoke, to which the maid nodded and left. Because we must be kind to him, Uther growled angrily, receiving an accusatory look from his daughter and a blow from his wife. Calm down, they already said they were going to explain everything to us. If LaFay is with him, it must be for a good reason, right? He asked the last thing, looking at her daughter, who nodded. A few minutes passed, and Elaine returned with tea and cookies, placing them on the table, and then standing next to Layla. Well, why don't you start by introducing yourself to Issei-sama, said LaFay, looking at the brunette, who nodded and stood up from his place. My name is Haidu Issei, current Secretary. The wearer of the boosted gear introduced himself and then sat down again, surprising those he introduced. Are you the Secretary? Layla asked, surprised. Well, Uther was surprised but did not let it show and glared at Issei, who only nodded to the question asked by her future mother-in-law. And tell me, why did you look for my daughter? She asked again. Because I am very bad at magic and I wanted to learn, and what better than one of the best magicians there is to teach me, Issei responded, smiling proudly, making LaFay blush, making Layla smile and making Uther growl. I imagine you asked him to do something for you, right? I asked this time, looking at her daughter, who nodded. Yes, he promised to help me look for Nai-sama, the magician responded nostalgically. At what she heard, both father and mother were surprised. Are you saying you can find my son? Layla asked excitedly as she appeared out of nowhere in front of Issei and grabbed him by the shoulders. Yes, I can do it, but it will take time, Issei responded, trying to calm his future mother-in-law. Calm down, Okasama, LaFay said to his mother. Don't kneel before him, Uther said with annoyance, standing up from the couch and lifting his wife off the floor and taking her back to the couch. The woman only glared at her husband, who cowered in a cold sweat. A few minutes passed until the atmosphere calmed down. LaFay said earlier that you were not a demon by consent. Could you explain that? Layla spoke again, since her husband was reluctant to speak to the boy. Well, a fallen angel killed me for fear of my sacred gear, and a high-class demon from my city reincarnated me, Issei explained, causing shock in the older blonde and brunette respectively. Oh, I'm sorry, it must have been hard, Layla said regretfully. It's nothing, it's over. In fact, I'm grateful for that, Issei said to those present, who nodded. And who is your king? Layla asked curiously. It's Ria's Gremory, the chestnut answered. Oh, they say that the Gremory treat their servants very well, Layla said thoughtfully. They do it, they are very good people, Issei responded, smiling. Well, I think that having said this, everything is clarified, Layla said, smiling. Haidu Issei, do you agree to protect my girl from the dangers of the supernatural world? Layla asked, looking at the brunette. I will do it with my life, Issei responded with conviction, causing Layla's smile to widen. I refuse this, Uther shouted without giving in. Haidu Issei challenge you to a sword duel. If you are strong enough, I will give you my daughter, said the blonde, standing up and pointing his finger at Issei. That put the atmosphere was tense, but it didn't last long as Layla got up and hit her husband on the head, sitting him back on the couch. Stop being so grumpy and stubborn, accept that Issei is a good boy and leave our daughter alone, Layla scolded, but Uther refused to back down. Uther-sama, Issei called, capturing everyone's attention. What do you think if we have that sword fight the next time we come to visit you? The brunette asked with determination in his eyes. Are you sure, Ai-sama? LaFay asked worried, but Issei gave her a reassuring nod. It's okay, kid, I accept those terms, the man responded, clicking his tongue. Well, with that settled, I think it's time to go home, said Issei, standing up, followed by LaFay. When Layla saw them, she stood in front of them. "I'm sorry about my husband," Layla said with regret. "It doesn't really matter," Issei responded, smiling at her, causing the same expression to be reflected in the older blonde, after which the brunette opened the same crack with which he came to go to his house. "It's a pleasure to have met you Uther-sama, Layla-sama," said Issei, giving Layla a kiss on her hand and a chivalric. "Oh Issei-kun, just call me Layla," said the blonde with a smile. "It's okay, Layla," Issei said smiling, receiving Uther's withering look. "A pleasure, Elaine-san," Issei said, imitating the act he did with the older blonde. "Likewise Issei-sama," the brunette responded with a sweet smile. "See you later Oka-sama, Odo-sama," Elaine LaFay greeted happily, receiving the greeting from those mentioned before she and Issei crossed the crack, "and it will finally close." "He's a good boy," said the blonde, smiling, receiving a nod from the brunette, while Luther just clicked his tongue and looked away bitter, Layla said before leaving the room. Soon Elaine followed her, leaving the patriarch alone. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.